Hello, 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 and welcome to your Aunties Could Never family gathering. Your favorite aunties and uncle have arrived. I'm Auntie AK, and I am here with
Auntie Farah,
Auntie Nana,
Auntie Sade,
and
Uncle Dane.
Do you feel like you're an uncle, Dane? Do you feel like an uncle?
I do feel like an uncle. That's a role I can kind of slip into. I'm not somebody that's in denial about my age and that. I'm fine with uncle.
Okay, uncle.
As long as you're
Okay.
not like the crazy uncle, you're not the crazy uncle or the creepy uncle or like, the uncle that borrows money in it. So it's what precedes the uncle more than anything.
Which uncle? So which
uncle
uncle?
with the best drink selection?
In it?
Yeah. That's I'm that uncle.
I can see a good few rams there that I want.
Yeah, exactly. If you're about to turn up before you go out, come by Uncle Dane's in it. So
That's
got
it.
the white liquor, the dark liquor.
The mixologist, the drinks master, uncle.
That's it.
Okay, everybody, get your plates, get your drinks. We're about to start the show. Auntie Farah, let's go.
Okay. Let me get my ish up. All right. So in today's installment, we are back to One's Gotta Go, Auntie Sade's least favorite game. And as an ode to Dane, the comedian extraordinaire, the first thing I'm going to ask you is a bunch of One's Gotta Go for comedy shows. And here we go. So One's Gotta Go. Different World, Cosby Show, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, or Martin?
Oh, that's so tough.
I'll go for me because Martin didn't come to the UK in a way that was accessible, which pissed me off royally. I can easily say Martin because I don't have the attachment that I have to all three others, which I know off by heart, have VHSs taped. But Martin, later on in life, when I discovered Martin and found a link to it, I love it, but I can easily get rid of it just because of that.
That's a good one. I think I'm going to go with that. Sorry, Sade, you first.
No, go for it.
No, I think Auntie, I come with you as well. Obviously, I enjoy the show Martin, and obviously Martin Lawrence is a legacy legend, OG. But I feel like I can still get my Martin fix from the like Bad Boys and Big Mama's House and all of his stand-up. And then Tisha Campbell was in My Wife and Kids, so could still get a part of that magic anyway. But because I feel like now it's shows like A Different World was so important, cannot afford to not lose that aesthetic. So yeah, although I mean it was a tight one because I was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air of late. The revelations coming out of Will Smith's diary now.
I haven't heard. What are the revelations? What's he said?
None of them. Well, most recently, Will Smith said that he became nauseous while having sex because he was having so much sex to the point where he'd have a psychosomatic response and would vomit when he orgasmed.
I did hear that.
Yeah, I heard that.
That's so disgusting.
Like, I don't even want to deal with that knowledge.
I really don't want to. I don't want to deal with that.
Where did you vomit?
I mean, what location would make you go? Yeah, that's about right.
All of it would make me be like, that's gross. But I'm just thinking of what is the most gross. Because at what point did you? Immediately?
No.
Immediately, that's a real problem.
No, it's not like that. It's not like that. It's not like in the act of. It's a reflection of. So it's generally like when he's alone or you're in a car journey and he's reflecting on what he's done. Then he would throw up. So it wasn't he's pumping and then he's like on the girl's neck or a bum.
So yeah,
that's what I
was thinking at first. I was like, okay, that's okay. That makes a bit more sense.
I mean, can we move on from the vomit? Auntie Nana and Auntie Sade, please answer.
Auntie don't like that season of Fresh Prince, boy.
I'm gonna say Martin. It would just because the same reasons. So it's not very different, but same reasons. I just think it wasn't around for me to get into it. If Martin wasn't there, it would probably be the Cosby Show because of Mr. Cosby. But yeah,
it's exactly the same. I don't even think I've ever watched an episode of Martin, so I don't know what anybody would be referring to. So yeah, that can go. Don't care.
Auntie Fries?
Yeah, same. I'm not a huge Martin Lawrence right. Like he's cool. He's alright. That shit is alright. But yeah, I could do without it.
Martin, when you watch Martin's wicked.
Yeah, but that's the one that's got to go. And I'm saying this the same as Auntie Nana. I am conflicted about Cosby Show, and I'll probably never watch it again. In all honesty, I haven't watched it.
Me, not Auntie Nana. I said that.
Oh, did you say that? Oh, sorry, Auntie Sade, you.
Thanks.
But yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. Like, I don't feel like I could watch it again, in all honesty, but I can't get rid of it because without Cosby Show, you don't have a Different World, and Different World was my shit. I love that show. I recently rewatched all of them, and I was just like in my element. It was great.
And Malcolm and Eddie. And when you think about it, then from then you get Jada Pinkett, don't you, from Different World as well. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And then you get Will.
yeah, exactly. So there you go. It's all linked. You know, that's what disturbs me the most about
the greatest separation, like his film.
Exactly. But you know what disturbs me the most is that during the seasons of The Fresh Prince, pretty much every single prolific black actress of the 90s was a guest star in the series. So when he's like, I used to think about the women I was with and throw up, I was like, who are you talking about? Because these were the shining starlets of Black Hollywood of the 90s. So
you had a fun old time, I can imagine.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Next one,
he did. Okay, so today makes the 39th anniversary of the release of Thriller now.
Oh, really?
So my question is 39 years.
Wow.
30th of November 1982. So my question to y'all is, with that in mind, one song off the Thriller album has got to go. Billie Jean, Rock With You. Is that on Thriller?
Yeah,
it is. Beat It and Thriller, obviously. Which one's got to go?
What? This is Thriller.
Oh my god, they are literally like all of my favorite tunes.
I'm going to play my dance machines.
What a routine though. Big routine.
Very good routine.
Oh my god.
What was the thought? What with you? Beat It, Thriller, and Billie Jean.
Billie Jean stays.
I love Billie Jean. I love Rock With You. I could probably leave Thriller because I could not watch that at all. I was terrified of that video. So that can go. That can go.
Everybody looks at it. It's so funny that everybody looks at it like fondly now. Like, yeah, the music. When it came out in the beginning, though, even I was like, yeah, I'm not sleeping. I'm not sleeping.
Shook.
Terrified.
Yeah. For Thriller, listen. When he turns around with the big old lion werewolf thing, now I was out there.
Yeah, no, it's too scary.
I think I was even scarier than a zombie.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And especially if you'd seen American Werewolf before that.
Yeah, exactly.
More shook.
Yeah.
Ooh, Billie Jean is not mine.
Come on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Uncle Dane, go on. Which one then?
Yeah, I'm going to say Billie Jean. I think that's and I think it's just because it's the one that I feel has been most rinsed and remixed and redone, and like, you know, you always get that kind of like Dance FM or Kiss FM version when you're in a club. You're like, oh, they might play one decent tune, and then it comes up with some techno track, and you're like, ugh. So Billie Jean can go for me, and it's a tough one, but like the only thing that would, you know, console me is the fact that I can listen to them other tunes, which are all classics, like some of the best songs ever made. So that's the thing with the song with Thriller. Some of the songs on that album are some of the best songs that have ever been made. You got enough to subscribe on if you have to.
I'm gonna go with Rock With You. But
clutching my pearls.
Yeah, but like for me,
my monocle's fallen into my sherry.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Why, Auntie Sade? Why?
Just because the other tracks are just a bit, just mean more to me and my family. Do you know what I mean? Like us doing like routines and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And like taking turns to be Michael. You know, like just the memories.
I think I'm going Billie Jean because I've done. I know it's hard though because the lights on the floor, ding ding ding. But Rock With You is like, and then Thriller, like I said, I did this all the time, and Beat It.
Too much of a tune. Beat It. That routine is too much.
It's tough. It's better than Thriller. I'm sorry, it's better than Thriller.
That's a good shout, you know. That's a good shout. That really is. That the choreography in Beat It after the guitar solo.
It is. It's amazing.
I think it's a good shout.
And then when they do the kids version in a Moonwalker, do you guys watch Moonwalker? Oh my god!
Of course, yeah.
Still love that now.
So Auntie AK, what are you picking?
I said Billie Jean.
Yeah, she did.
Okay, cool. So I'm picking Thriller. Definitely. Like, I love Thriller, but out of those four, I could do without. In actual fact, when I listen to that album, I skip Thriller. I don't listen to it.
I've probably heard it enough, innit?
I don't, it's a great song, don't get me wrong, but I can literally do without listening to it. So I feel like I can skip it. I can't skip the other three.
But Unfez, do you like because the video version and the album version are a bit different in it? Because I think the album version goes straight to the chorus, yeah. But the other one has a long break for ages when they do the choreography and the dance and stuff, and you're getting built up to it, and then you go, okay, no, I'll wait a bit longer. They're still doing the thing. Right, next time, turn around. Right, now my time. And okay, and then the other side, and then by then you just figure, then it's you're like, I missed it.
You're right though, because if it's on the TV, I'd watch it, but I wouldn't listen to it. So maybe it's that. And the woman in the Thriller video always used to remind me of my best friend at the time's mum. Shout out to Natasha Smart's mum. She looked exactly like her. I was like, oh my God. And I remember
that's a very good mood for the time.
I watched
that's a
the
great
video at their house and I was like this.
That's a great mood. Wherever she is, man, I hope she's still slaying, because that was a good mood. That was a good mood at the time. Great mood.
Auntie Nano.
I said mine already.
Oh, did you? All right, next one. You're still on mute, man.
I muted myself. Sorry. So one's got to go. This is a bit switching up a little bit. So compromise, consistent in a relationship. This is what's got to go. Compromise, and it can be a friendship. It could be any kind of relationship. Compromise, consistency, laughter, or support. One's got to go.
What?
You heard, nerd?
Say them again quickly. Compromise,
laughter, consistency, or support.
I feel like consistency, because consistency could be the opposite of spontaneity, and consistency, as long as consistency. Oh yeah,
But he might not be consistently faithful.
Exactly. He might
imagine removing laughter from the relationship, removing support from the relationship, and removing what's the other one? Compromise. Because if there's never any compromise, I think it's consistency for me, because consistency means it's like could be surprising all the time. Which might be annoying, but
I'm not going to turn up.
Sorry.
Oh,
my hand up. It's consistency. That can go, because I'm probably like not very consistent, but I still have friends and relationships. So sorry if anybody is after that from me. I'm probably not the person for a constant stream of consistency, but I will give you compromise, compassion, and support.
I think I just want to say, when you say laughter, that with positive emotion. I don't mean like someone's like, how do I look in distress, and you're just laughing in their face. I just want to make sure I was clear on that. Nah, that's not you. That's not you, Maggie. They're not mocking. Okay, cool. I'd say that I would get rid of compromise, because I think if someone is consistent and provides laughter and by proxy joy and support, then you don't necessarily have to compromise, because someone can be the leader and be like, this is what's best for us, and consistently chooses something that's best for you, which ultimately leads to laughter and support. So that's why I say compromise.
That was very good.
That was quite cute.
That was very good.
Very good.
Although it sounds a bit dominating.
It does sound a bit dominating.
A bit dumb, but
bit controlling.
But it can be. But I mean, if the outcome more often than not is consistent laughter and support, and it happens on a consistent basis, then at least you can depend on that person to be domineering rather than one day they're domineering.
They're laughing while they're not compromising.
Maybe we can go to a restaurant I like. No.
And I will support you by paying.
Yeah. I'll reveal my personality there.
With laughter, I was thinking, but I make myself laugh. So is it is it necessary? And then support. I didn't miss that. But support-wise, I don't know if your partner has to support you in what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've been in relationships and like they have nothing to do with what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? And it didn't hinder the relationship. So I guess it depends how you look at support. really.
They could be like supporting you with the shopping when you're coming from Sainsbury's. You've got 12 bags.
No. You do online shopping. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
Bringing it into the house.
No. They deliver that now. There's hacks for that. You don't need to do all of that. So yeah.
Supporting your prices. Go on.
I would get rid of consistency because someone could be consistently fuckeries, and I could do without that.
Consistent fuckeries. Consistent.
Very, very, very true. There we go.
That's funny.
All right then, that was nice. Who are we welcoming to the family, Auntie Farah?
Sorry, my daughter just came into the room and she's trying to be quiet, but it's not working. Can you give me 1 second? I'm very sorry.
We'll talk calmly amongst ourselves. I
was going to say we should interlude music. Can I just say, have you guys heard that about Jada being called variant Jada? Have you heard that? Like she's
what?
Why? I have not. No. No.
Why she called that?
Well, why do you think? Because she's like a virus that's just messing
I don't like that. They need to leave Jada alone. Like,
listen. How old is Jada Pinkett now?
50.
50. Nah, look, man, all the way came back from Low Down Dirty Shame. She's putting a good shift, man. A lot of her friends aren't around anymore. You know, a lot of people have had a lot of problems. Like, I think it's just it's a big ask to imagine people are still going to be normal all the time after the time they've spent in Hollywood and around the people they've been around. So, if you're going to get red table talk, you're going to get a bit of mad tea that comes on the table as well. You have to take the rough with the smooth these days.
That's the thing. I think Jada's all right, man.
When you juxtapose her with some of her fellow stars of the time, like your Bill Cosby's and your Tupac Shakur's and that, I think she's doing more than fine.
Doing all right.
You get me? For real, isn't it?
She's doing all right.
Anyway, today I would like to welcome to the family Dame Sandra Mason, aka the new president of the new sworn republic state or country even of Barbados. So Barbados became a republic today on their 55th anniversary, and Dame Sandra Mason was sworn in at midnight. On the stroke of midnight, they said "Gwah!" to England, and in the words of what she said, the time has come to fully leave our colonial past behind. And I am watching this space with the rest of my Caribbeans. So welcome to the family, Dame.
Welcome, most welcome. Welcoming, most welcome.
It's a sincere pleasure. I don't know, it was the right honorific, so I'll say my lady, my dame.
Yeah.
So we have to show reverence and prostrate. Start making that a thing now in the Caribbean as we start appointing more and more heads of state and start reclaiming our own political systems.
Telling you, man.
But she's already put Rihanna on her equivalent of the cabinet. She's already given Rihanna honors straight away. First thing she did was touch down. So off to a good start, if you ask me.
Me too.
Makes sense. Yeah. All right, now it's time for What Have You Heard? This is where we pick a news story from the past week or today and discuss it. We get into the headlines. So I'm going first. And Auntie AK, what have you heard? Well, I have heard Prince William can politely swear word off because he recently said that Africa's overpopulation.
You got to do it in the voice, Auntie AK. You got to do it in the voice.
I don't even mock him. Africa is to blame for the fact that wildlife is endangered in Africa. Basically, wildlife and wild spaces, result of human population is under pressure because of Africans fucking, basically. I'm not here. When I heard it, I swore so much, so much. And I swear a lot, and I swore more than I swear because I was like, how dare you? Mind your damn business, father of three, maybe one more. I heard there's one more away. I don't know if it's true. Man's had 3 children, pop, like that. His whole family's got pop children. His brother's got a situation going on. I don't know why you're out here talking about Africa. However, I thought, okay, let me calm down. Is there any truth to what he's saying? That the Africans overpopulating are causing problems for the wildlife of Africa? Is there anything unracist and non-eugenic about Prince William's comments? People discuss. Auntie Nana, go first.
Oh, great. All right. I don't, I wish this didn't come from him, because he's just like the wrong person to bring this to light. But in reality, there is an argument. It's not about population though, but there is an argument to say that humans all around this globe are affecting animals and nature. So to kind of concentrate on Africa and what's happening with animals when your elitist brethren and cousins and you yourself and your brother go out there and do hunting on the regs, like, you're not the person to speak on this issue. But that's how they talk, in it. It's with double tongue. There's truth to what he's saying, but he ain't the one to say it. So then it almost cancels out what he's saying because he's an idiot. And that's annoying, because there really is a claim for actually this planet shouldn't be run in the way that it's run. But he's a part of the problem, not the solution. So, he's an asshole.
Auntie Sade.
I mean, first of all, I was just like, is he even vegan though? Like, you care about the animals that much, yeah? Right. Seriously. I just can't. Right. It's just hypocrisy. It's just spreading. I don't think there's well, and looking at this article, it says that Asia's population density is 100 per square kilometer. Why can't I say that? Europe is 72.9 per square kilometer, and Africa is 36.4 per square kilometer. So, do you know what I mean? Like, where are your facts coming from? It's just nonsense. Like, I just wonder what is the distraction here? What are you hiding from us, really and truly? Like, I just think it's just a pompous thing to say. Just shows that he's not connected at all, and just kind of stokes the fire of racism. Really, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sick of Will. He needs, hopefully, when he gets into power, the generations now, they just don't care about the royal family. So hopefully it'll be the end of it, because they'll hate him so much.
Auntie Farah.
I'm wondering if Will's trying to fuck himself up, because of late he's saying some real outlandish, dumb ass things. He really is, because bruv, are you trying to tell me in the whole world it's only in Africa where people are making babies? Less, like Auntie Nana said, or one of you lot said, what's going on in your own household? How many kids have you got? If you actually gave a flying fuck about what was going on in the world, you'd have one kid, because all you need is an heir, maybe a spare, but you didn't need the third one, realistically. So you didn't have to do that if you are so concerned. The other thing is as well, yeah, I'd like to know who his PR people are at the moment. Where is he getting the information that this is what you should be talking about? Your uncle is about to go up for fiddling with underage children. Yeah?
Allegedly on this show?
Allegedly.
Yeah, I know.
Your uncle is going up for allegedly fiddling with underage children.
I want to state that is not any kind of inference of a reasonable doubt. I'm just wanting to cover the backs of my aunties as well, so that you.
Thank you, Uncle Dane. Thank you,
Uncle Dane.
Catch some case over some chupidness.
Do you know what I mean? I forgot myself for a hot minute then. Allegedly, but my point is that there's lots of things going on that you need to address on your own doorstep before you start looking at other countries, other continents. There's other continents that are making mad children. Other continents. Why you always got to be focusing over there and talking about the wildlife? So is there any wildlife in Africa then? Is that the only place where there's animals? You lot are fucking up the sea daily. And if anyone watched Seaspiracy, what is going on there is worse than what's going on anywhere else. That's what you need to focus on. And that is a responsibility of everybody that eats fish. Everybody, you know what I mean? Every business that's involved in that. And as Auntie Sade said, you're not vegan, bruv. So come to me when all you eat is lentils.
Uncle Dane.
I just want to say I have complete solidarity with all my aunties and their rejection of this ridiculous and eugenic and fascistic waffle coming out of Prince William's mouth. We'll start off by talking about the Ecology of Africa, as far as I know, one of the causes of pollution that would happen from any continent comes from industrialization and all the byproducts from resource exploitation.
Right.
Well, who the fuck are the people taking the oil from Nigeria, the fourth largest oil reserve in the world? Because it starts with a B and it ends with a P. And the B is not for fucking Bakoyo. It's for fucking British Petroleum, yeah? So if you have a problem with pollution and the byproducts of resource exploitation, tell your petroleum companies to fuck off. That's only in Nigeria, number one. And all of the Biafra conflict itself was all financed by these people financing both sides and causing that. That's number one. Then we have the Somalian Pirates, who were really eco-warriors because they began their piracy after their fishing industry was completely decimated by the fact that other countries had perceived the area of Somalia to be a place of civil unrest and therefore took advantage of that by dumping their toxic waste along the Somalian coastline, leading these former fishermen to have to take boats hostage in order to protect their wildlife. Prince William weren't fucking saying anything then, was he now?
At all.
Not only that, north of these other aforementioned countries is the Sahara. Desertification has been going on since time immemorial. And I don't remember Prince William saying anything then. Some of you will also know about one of the first birds to go extinct was a dodo. The dodo is native to Mauritius and was hunted to extinction. Not by no fucking black people, though. Right. And that was so then we get to the point whereby you have South Africa, which produces 1/3 of the world's gold. Now, all of the mining and gold extraction companies that profit from this reserve aren't owned by any indigenous fucking Africans. So when you think about the process of mining and what that involves, whether it's diamonds or coltan or gold or tin or copper or any of all the resources that come from the continent, those all have to involve habitat destruction. And again, none of these things are overseen by indigenous African companies. They're overseen by Europeans. And if people have an issue with the rate at which indigenous Africans are reproducing, then maybe they could have addressed that issue when we got to the point where 1 in 4 people in South Africa had the HIV virus, not from being sexually transmitted, mind you, but from poorly screened blood transfusions is the reason why the prevalence of HIV began on the continent in the first place. So essentially, if there is an issue with the allocation of resources or the availability of resources in Africa, that has nothing to do with indigenous Africans, because there has been no point at which they have had control over their indigenous resources. So, nice try, Will. I'm sure your grandfather would be proud, but I beg, go fuck yourself, because how your mum, your grandmother is sitting in a fucking house that's been refurbished for 26 million, which has got over 40 rooms that nobody stays in, but still have to be maintained, doesn't sound ecologically conscious to me. Also, if anybody wants to get hype up, Africa as a continent produces 30% of all carbon emissions on this planet. There is a known maybe 10 companies, industrialist companies, that produce 70% of the world's emissions. So Africa only produces like what, 30% of carbon? Its carbon footprint is only 30% of the world's footprint. So Prince William can fuck off. Nice try. I know. And what he's basically doing is a dog whistle, maybe, in order to smooth his succession to the throne. Because most people that are still enamored by and support the idea of monarchy will hold the same racist, eugenic views about the fact that a sovereign from another country should be ruling over this continent in the 21st century, where science and technology proves that these people ain't no better than anybody else. So I'm sure that will help you with the PR. So really, it's the PR that they want him to have, because for you to succeed as a royal, when you think about all of the associated ideologies with monarchy, whether it's like, you know, Anglo-patriotism or Anglo-imperialist superiority, of course he has to say stupid shit like that. So nice try, but we can all see you're going bald. Let it go. Why don't you fuck off the turkey and then do your hair, and then you won't be so fucking miserable.
I mean, you all said more than what I could even
imagine your grandmother makes 6.3 million a day and you can't afford a good hair transplant. What the fuck is going on?
It's true.
It's true.
Well, ain't my tax money going, Auntie? That's what I want to know.
I don't know.
A 40-year-old man can stand up here looking like a mad scientist talking about people in Africa having too much babies. I shan't stand for it.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing. Not said it all. I'd add the landfill, the clothes that gets thrown into Africa, and all that stuff, destroying our land with all the
and how they flood all these leftovers instead of allowing for Africa to have its own domestic textile industry, for example. Like the president Paul Kagame has now banned any charity items from coming into Rwanda because they're just crushing that industry. Yeah, exactly. This guy, bruv, Princess Diana would be face palming right now in heaven.
Yes, and that's the other thing that's annoying.
So yeah, I mean,
because your mum was out there. When your mum was out there clearing landmines, she never said nothing about no fucking Africans having babies. Shame on you, blood. Shame
and your
on
brother.
You. Exactly.
I think
his brother is having African baby.
That's why he's vexed, because he's like, you're part of it. That's why he's vexed.
But also, it's also a little bit of like why try and shade on a country we're all right with population? You lot are struggling to make more babies. That's a conversation that Handmaid's Tale is around the corner, and that's why he's trying to throw shade on a country. And also, again, I redirect to: is he friends? Has he had a conversation with Mr. Bill Gates? That's all I want to know. Anyway,
they all have.
Can we get the conversation? The comments, please.
And not one bicep between all two of them. They're talking about people in Africa having too much children and them things there. You're not having enough protein. You need to shut up, both of you.
Hello, Caroline. We only have one comment so far, actually, and it's Caroline just saying, big up the aunties on their 87th episode. Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you. Where's everybody? Okay, cool. All right, let's move on. I mean, because, boy, let's just see. Watch this space. Auntie Nana, what have you heard?
Oh, I thought I was next.
No, it's not me.
You are. I scroll too fast. Auntie Farah, what have you heard?
Well, speaking of the royal family, as I said, I welcomed Miss Dame Sharon Mason to family. And my question to you guys is this. As Barbados becomes republic and appoints its own head of state, do we think that the remaining 15 countries, including the UK, that the Queen is still head of state for, will do the same? What does she bring to these countries? Mainly Caribbean ones I'm thinking about. Are there actually any benefits?
Auntie Sade.
I was trying to hide. What does she bring to nothing? It's just a reminder of slavery. That's the way I see it, really. Just a constant reminder of slavery. Nah, I don't think there's any benefit nowadays, really and truly. I don't know if that goes hand in hand. No, it's not related, is it? Whether you get a visa or not, that's not related. Yeah. So what's the point? Do you know what I mean? I don't know what the other 15 countries are, though.
Well, the British West Indies.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we've got Jamaica, Grenada, St. Kitts, St. Vincent, Anguilla, lots of Caribbean countries.
Yeah.
She's still the head of state. She's still on their money.
Okay. So, yeah. She needs to just remove herself. Hopefully, they'll just all, out. In order. Just What you gonna say, Farah?
No, I was just going to say, like, a lot of their laws are British laws as well, and if they want to take things to a higher level, they have to come. It goes to the British
Supreme Court.
Yeah,
court. Yeah.
Yeah, no, anything to dilute the British, the reign of the British Empire, I think is just a great thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, just like get rid of it, loosen their power, loosen the illusion of their power. Yeah, every chance you get. So I welcome it. We should have parties. I really wish like they were doing it in like order or something like and just like parties
in alphabetical order.
Do you know that actually gaining independence from the British is the most commonly celebrated holiday on the entire planet? 63 countries that have nothing in common other than one thing they have in common is that they have one day where they celebrate independence from the British. It's the most celebrated thing in the whole world.
Imagine. That is interesting.
Yeah.
What I was wondering, just quickly, how can you be considered independent if she's still a part of your head of state? Like, how does that work? Because I literally am like, how can it be Barbados' 55th anniversary of independence and the Queen was still on your money? Like, how? What is that?
The same reason why Haiti won the War of Independence and then had to pay reparations to France, even though they won. I imagine same logic is behind that. So
how are we like constantly going through this? Like, I really am like, how did they do this? And where are they hiding our powers that they have allowed?
In the museums, we've said it before.
I don't get.
All our powers in the museums. That's why they won't give us back our things, because they know if we get back our things, we'll start elevating, levitating, and going zap, 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 and zapping everybody back into non-existent.
Well, like power.
Sometimes I do feel like I'm in some alien world because I'm like, what? You say you're independent, but she was on your money. Like, how is that independence? Like, how? It really.
But they put so much sanctions on us, and they made it so difficult to move independently. It's all smoke and mirrors and words and pictures.
Well, I guess that's we said about the money is probably how you've answered the question, Auntie Nana. Is that
it's the money?
It's the money. If you have to depend on somebody for a currency, and they issue that currency, and then the rest of the economic superpowers in the world determine the exchange rate, whereby, for example, if you want to buy particular things, you have to exchange and buy US dollars, then you can forever be crippled by how your currency is valuated. So that's probably, one of the ways they've been able to maintain that hegemony of control. Because that's the thing about the British, is that one of the reasons why they no longer have to physically occupy, is that they're able to control countries through global finance markets.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as they do in like places like, that's why they were able to have Hong Kong as almost a city state inside of China. But obviously now as China's risen and power's increasing, and they now have economic supremacy, that's why they're trying to reclaim Hong Kong back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's matting everywhere, boy. I think that there's no point in continuing to have any monarchs in the world, especially where what I find confusing is a lot of people who identify or politically with the idea of monarchy and to an extent European hegemony or supremacy or imperialism are also the people that support the idea of a free economy and are against ideas like taxation and paying tribute to a institution. So I don't understand how you can be like, no one should have to pay tax and people should work and pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but you still want nations to be kicking up from a commonwealth towards this idea of monarchy. When, if you don't know, like even the Queen's relatives, like the Duke of Cornwall's property portfolio is worth £8.3 billion.
Yeah.
The Layard of Bern's property portfolio is something like 14.3 billion in the north. Even the Queen, what she earns on foreign territories in places like Canada and like other certain parts of Europe, we're talking like 600 million a day. So, like, there's no need for it as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I would even argue that if for the people that even identify with it, it's because they're not aware of any kind of precedent. If you are somebody whose entire history as a Bayesian or as a Caribbean person is, having your legacy or your lineage coming from being a chattel slave to then go into having, I guess, comparative freedom in the Caribbean, you don't really know any different about self-governance. It's not really been a part of your life. So that's why some people might be like, we need a queen, but it's because they don't know any different. But I think if these people explain to them that you'll be able to save this much money if we didn't kick up to the queen, then they would probably be a lot more inclined to be like, that sounds like a much nicer idea.
I wonder what will be the because I think it is other countries can follow suit, but I wonder because they're not going to let go this easily. So I wonder. Yes,
it's like leasehold and freehold as well, isn't it? Because it's kind of like obviously everyone here could say they own a home, but if your home is leasehold, it means the land it's on is the Queen's, and land that has the true value because houses can go up and go down and be erected and they can fall down, but whoever owns the land makes money irrespective of what happens. So I guess we really have to question what the true freedom is. Like,
but that's the part. It's like, what does it mean? Barbados is a republic. On the forefront. So what is behind the scenes? What kind of things have they had to compromise?
Well, exactly.
To then, in order to be perceived as independent, free, because it's not 100%. There's not going to be. It's not that easy. But I think on the surface, it would make it easy for other countries to follow suit.
If you look at Zimbabwe, for example, ZANU PF takes power, and all of a sudden your currency becomes super hyperinflated, and there's anti-smoking campaigns and people. Yeah, so what do you have to what's been compromised for them to realize status as a republic? Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Have we got questions? Have we got comments?
We do. Nicholas says, we are here, Auntie AK, just driving and listening. And hello, Uncle Dane. Ronald says, hello, ladies. Be careful what you say about the Queen. You shouldn't upset her. She's one pearl clutch away from biting the dust.
Gosh.
She may not even be here anymore, to be fair.
That's the thing, because she's had she's been withdrawn from public vision, withdrawn from the public since a couple of months ago, right? Because she's hurt herself, her leg or her hip.
She's done videos and stuff like that, but she hasn't, she's not been as active. She's been
Charles
sending her
may get a little window.
Say that again.
Charles may get a little window into, a
little half an hour
for like 5 years before he takes it too. Allegedly, somehow, never happens.
Auntie Nana, what have you heard?
Okay.
I mean, I never said what I said, but okay.
Oh,
sorry, sorry. I've got some time going forward. Sorry, Auntie Farah, go ahead.
You know, oh, we're back at that where you ignore me.
All right.
This is what she does.
Let the woman speak, Auntie.
It's fine. So I will echo pretty much what you've all said, and I'm wearing my flag today, Grenada flag, because I really believe that it is about time that all the Caribbean countries, we put an end to this colonial history. The thing is, there are going to be a lot of political things that we don't fully understand, a lot of, you know, envelopes underneath the table and all that kind of thing, if people do go republic. But at the end of the day, we are still paying lots of money out to these people, and we are still under their rule, and we cannot truly be free until we are rid of them. So that is my point. The Queen doesn't need to be ruling anyone anymore. Bun that.
Okie dokie. Auntie Nana, what have you heard?
Okay, so my story is just a general catch up on COVID news. Like, we haven't spoken about COVID for a little while, and now we have a new strain that has just been found in South Africa, identified by the South African scientists, called omicron or omicron, and people are discussing how it should be pronounced, and some people are now just calling it the Omarian virus,
which I love
it. To say it easily.
So funny. It's so funny.
So yeah, omicron is the new strain that I couldn't find a set definition as to what it does and why it's different, other than it's supposed to spread faster, and that was generally what people were saying, but there wasn't a clear list of the different types of symptoms that this new strain has. So I have a couple of questions for you guys, just a general check-in about COVID, but also just why is it that the new strains are being identified in South Africa? And what do you think of this new name? And do you think they're purposefully allowing conspiracy theorists to just flourish on this? Like, they just seem to pick up names that have like ties to kind of mythologies, and in certain types of cartoons where they've spoken to aliens, and there's one where the alien is called the Omicron pussy eater, and it's like, who picks these names? Where do they come from? What do you guys think about it?
Well, I know, first of all, the South African government, I think they've released a statement whereby they're saying the Omicron strain was not found in South Africa. It's just that because South Africa has a high competence in virology and immunology due to the HIV pandemic, they were able to isolate and identify it first. So there's more than enough cause to say that this has been discovered in like the Netherlands, and the UK has cases and stuff as well. Yep. And I think the States as well, but just South Africa were the first to identify and isolate this particular strain. I'm not sure why they're going with the Greek alphabet for strains of COVID, but again, I think the whole South Africa thing is just another attempt at eugenics and trying to go back to the basics of historically where people have been able to try to blame Africa for the origin of pandemics under the supposition that disease in Africa is endemic, which we're now realizing is not necessarily the case. So I think they're trying their bits, but I find the whole Omarian thing hilarious. Like, testament to Black people that they can take something so mad and make it funny in the space of 2 hours.
Yes.
people I've seen people putting up pictures of like these symptoms include that it's Omarian popping and locking. Like, people
Icebox heart.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, someone said
it's icebox where my heart used to be. So now
people say, exactly, and dangers of being served. Like, breathe in, breathe out. Like this.
Auntie Sade.
Yeah, I mean, for this one, oh God, I'm so over it. Like, I'm just so over it. I'm so pissed that we have to wear masks again. Like, I'm sick. I'm just sick of it. I don't care about. I don't want to be insensitive, guys. I really don't. For the people who are out there that are suffering and stuff, I really do feel for you guys. But like, I feel like we need to get to a point where we can just live with it and just know it's just going to be a part of our world. That's just it. Like, all these restrictions or threats of restrictions, all of that kind of shit. I'm so done. I really hope that Middle England just rise up and just take back the country. That's what I hope that's what they do.
You show you what the middle Auntie Sade.
Well, they're the only ones that can actually, like, you know, get change, you know? Seriously.
If Middle England rise up and take back their country, that will affect us very, very greatly.
We've seen already. The shelves still remain bare in many places.
Because Middle England ain't going to work.
I remember people. Remember 2 months ago, people was looking to stab each other over petrol prices.
Yeah,
Well,
And toilet tissue.
Well,
but the thing is, I don't understand how they can go mad over petrol, but you're okay to be locked in your house. What's wrong with you? Priorities are wrong. They're wrong.
Some people are agoraphobic in it, and I guess they want to catch up on their box sets. But the thing is, Auntie Sade, we've had. I think for me, you know, it's interesting. We talk about conspiracy theorists. I think for me, the pandemic has been the revelation of the biggest conspiracy theory of all, and that is that for all of our musings, all the things you see on the internet about secret societies and powerful circles and masonry and Illuminati, no, there's just stupid people trying to make money. Right. And sometimes they forget stuff. So for example, the whole food pandemic, it's not a coincidence that the countries such as the UK, America, and Brazil, who have some of the highest concentrations of the diaspora outside of the continent, number one, and also some of the countries known for being the biggest purporters of white supremacists and capitalism, are the ones that suffer the most. The reason why is because capitalism or capital is gained from labor exploitation, which obviously happens in the UK, in America, and also in Brazil. And because of that, they didn't want people to go home. And there was probably a way that this could have been dealt with, but because of the unmitigated greed of our leaders, they were incompetent and thought about making money first and thought about themselves first. So I think the best thing about the pandemic for me is revealed, like everyone can, I want to say something to anybody listening, like, chase your dreams, do what you want, because Matt Hancock got to be health secretary. And if Matt Hancock can be a health secretary and your gal on the job, anything's possible.
This is what I'm saying.
The glass ceiling was destroyed by Boris Johnson on a zip line. Keep going. Anything can happen.
Anything's possible.
Anything is possible. Because people hit. There's at least 2 women that seen Boris Johnson on TV speaking and not even remembering the lines that are in front of him and said, "I would like to breed with that man." So if that can happen, anything's possible.
Allegedly too.
You're right to be angry about the incompetence of these people, but I think like people, like all these conspiracy theories and government and them things, like I'm not hearing these people are idiots, man. They're proving they're idiots. They're just greedy idiots, and the world has been reminded that however we felt like capitalism separated us from nature, you're no different from nature. And like I'd also go so far as to say is that, you know, the LGBT community, they had their pandemic. And because it never stopped the rest of us going out and it never stopped the rest of us socializing, we didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
They had theirs. And now they're at the point, generations later, where it's now a livable disease or a livable infection, I should say. Yeah. So now, as you know, the rest of us en masse are now experiencing the same thing. We're dealing with the selfishness of some members of our community. We're dealing with the lack of awareness. We're dealing with the unwillingness of governments to help us spread knowledge and awareness. And we're also dealing with the results of a commodified medical industry, which is why, like, you know, if I hear, you know, people from my community who have misgivings about vaccinations and immunization, I might be like, oh, man, but I wish you would do the research. But there is a clear reason, an understandable reason as to why people of the diaspora are adverse to immunization, particularly in America. So for me, like I said, like we know that these people that we have elected as our superiors, I just want to go at a point now where we have to really look at what's going on, not just like government, things like monarchy, or like the world has changed, isn't it? And we need to start redrafting the fabric of our society or restitching it. So
that
might take a little while. I know it seems like it's been a long time for us, but you know, there's people that are still alive now that remember that they couldn't even draw water from a fountain. And that one, you know what I mean? So again, this is just humanity, man. It's the ride, isn't it? Sometimes the shit be happening. So
Auntie Farah.
It's interesting what you said about South Africa finding the variant first, not necessarily, identifying the variant first, because this is the thing. They've said that it's come from Africa. They've banned flights to Southern Africa. They've said that, you know, they've now discovered the strain in lots of different places, including Scotland. I bet if you went and you spoke to those people with that strain, they haven't actually been anywhere near a plane or even anywhere near an African. So, or someone who's come from Africa. They just haven't. I guarantee you they haven't done that.
That has actually been confirmed. There's been 2 people who have it in Scotland and they haven't travelled anywhere.
Then there you go. So it is just about them using this. My tin hat is on, and I feel like 1 minute we're hearing Africa as a continent has the lowest cases of COVID in the world.
Exactly.
One day. Day 2, we found this. There's a new variant. Where's it come from? South Africa. Okay, then. Day 3. Everybody get your boosters, because if you've got the first jab and the second jab, it's not enough now. You need your booster. Okay. Who's making these medicines? Who's actually profiting off of this? And I think people are very cautious because they're not being given the right amount of information. And that's the thing. And it's like you said, Dane, you've got to do your research and you've got to feel comfortable in what you're doing for yourself and your family. But it doesn't help when we've got governments who are notorious for lying to us in our faces.
You got a COVID industry now. There's a COVID industry now. There's an industry that you walk around. There are vending machines that sell masks. That means somebody has already made a medium to long term business plan that those are still going to sell.
In order, just the fact that because I'm traveling soon, and just the money that's being made of taking unnecessary tests, all that type of stuff, and just generally that what's annoying me about this strain is the fact that nothing is proven on whether it's more deadly, whether it's more contractable or anything. It's just literally there's a new strain which we all knew that is going to evolve. And before coronavirus became coronavirus, we had coronavirus in existence anyway. So not to say that the first.
That's why it's 19.
Right, exactly. So all this conversation about and then banning South Africa, it's all hyperbole and it's annoying. It's actually frustrating now because like what Auntie Sade said, can we just find a way to live with it? I am not a problem. You know what? I'm a public transport user. I can't stand breath anyway. I hate the word breath.
Right.
So I don't mind being on the tube and everyone's wearing a mask. I don't actually care about that. I actually would rather breath to yourself because it's stanky, hot and nasty. And when the tube is packed, I can't stand it. I always find myself by the window. I get on a bus. I get mad when the windows aren't open on a bus. Wear a coat, put a scarf on, open the fucking windows. Let's get some air circulating. But that's what they're saying now. How do we adapt to us within this society where there is communicable diseases? How about fixing the filter system in buildings? Right. How about doing all the things instead of wasting money making us take unnecessary tests every last half an hour?
How about not shotting contracts to your brethren who are confectionery?
And
I think that's the overarching narrative with regards to us as civilians when we discuss COVID isn't the issue. COVID protocols are the issue. That's the issue. The virus is not the problem. It's the reaction of the virus. Because number one, if the issue really was that this is a virus that as a pandemic could cause mass devastation to our population, why are we still in a situation where you are commodifying healthcare? Why is that even a thing where we're still trying to charge people for healthcare? If we know that the most effective part of the human labor workforce and the first line of defense against the global pandemic are nurses and the people that work within our industry, why is our priority not enabling them to be able to work to their most optimal level? Why are they still waiting for fucking
pay rise?
PPE? Why are they still waiting for pay rises? Why are they not given a livable wage or a functional wage? Why are they not being given hours that allow them to work at their most optimal levels? Why are we not financing like universities and stuff? And how did we build a fucking hospital? Why go on for that since? An emergency hospital was built to facilitate for these increasing cases. What the fuck's happened with that since?
They did two, one in London and one somewhere outside London.
What are we doing for this? Because for me, it's like even if we got to the point whereby we had a controllable level of prevalence, or incidence of COVID, but there's still an enormous backlog of cancer sufferers, and there's an enormous backlog of people that are dealing with more chronic illness, people with long-term mental health problems. So what are we doing then? Well, what's happening with that? You're talking about you're going to be firing people who work at care homes because they're not vaccinated and them things there. But you weren't really doing much for people in care homes or the staff there in the first place. So
when you were sending COVID patients,
yes.
Up till now, these people have been giving their brethren contracts and they've not made no effective PPE. And so this is so really, the virus really, as I'm sure, how I feel is the virus is greed. That is the global pandemic that is fucking up the planet right now,
generally,
and by that token, this Omicron strain sounds more like an extension strategy than anything else. That someone sat there and gone, we need to keep this thing going, and Delta sounded scary. Why don't we go with Omicron? Sounds like Omega. That sounds final. Bust that one. Run that. Call that
Auntie
omicron.
Nana, let's get
next year they're probably going to have another one again. No, I definitely think this is like an extension, probably to what's out there in the streets, is that we're going to be doing this until 2025, and then another agenda is going to come along. So we have a few more years of the threat of a lockdown to you can't travel here. But economically doing this to Africa, again, it just feels like you have all of the news of Africa. Why isn't Africa under the same pressure as the rest of the world? Like, this is so shocking to them. Like, it's almost like it turns my stomach when I see those headlines, because you really wanted this land to be devastated. They actually could produce the vaccines themselves, you wouldn't allow them to do it under the IP laws. Like, it's literally like you want.
See, which is funny because
hell.
I mean, which is funny. Oh, they don't want it to go to hell. They just want it to be cleared. So it's just about recolonization. They want the resources. They just don't want the people that live there. That's all that is. Because the idea is that the virus
can't kill us.
Well, that's the thing. Because remember, because the coronavirus has no link between animals and plants. So their idea is, if we can clear these humans who we claim are responsible for habitat destruction and for COVID spreading and blah blah blah, then we just do their recolonization. We could, like, we see you from a mile off. Like, it's not really subtle how they're doing it.
It continuously hasn't worked. So it is like, when are they going to give up the goose? Like, you can't actually, you can't destroy us. Like, it doesn't happen. Yeah. It's like we keep on keeping on. Like, they try. They keep on trying. But the thing with this latest thing, I wanted to ask you, Auntie AK, if you was, the last time when they shut down South Africa, it kind of spread up, and then nobody could leave out of Ghana and Nigeria and everything else. Are you guys worried about this stint going for December, where there is going to be so many British and American people over there that they may try and lock you down in Africa again?
If they lock me down in Africa, then they lock me down in Africa. It'll be interesting. It'll be forced me to get to know my country even more for even longer. So it's fine. The reality is, I'm locked down. At least I'm rather be locked down in my home country, where I'm not in a hotel paying through the nose over here, like that type of quarantine nonsense, and not being able to move freely. It'll be a problem, but as long as the internet works and they don't shut down the internet, I should be okay. It'll be stressful, maybe, but let me be there and then work it out. I'm not stressed yet. We'll see what happens.
I don't think there's be any issue with being locked down in Ghana. Like, to be fair, like when it first happened, I had a team member, someone in my team was locked down. She was having a whale of time. It was all sunny and nice, fresh coconut every fucking day. Like, you know what I mean?
Now you know why. Now you will know why they want us gone.
This is what I'm saying. All right, let's get the comments. We're going to run out of time. Let's get the comments and then move on to the next.
Right. So Chrissy says, as long as Amarian doesn't mess up another trip for me today, I'll be cool. And Ronald says they use the Greek alphabet so that the strains aren't named for the countries where they are first identified. Then they isolate the country.
It's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Auntie Sade, what have you heard?
Okay, so my story is kind of a little bit of a quick one. So Twitter's Jack Dorsey has stepped down from his role as CEO, and I want to know, what do you guys think about this? Because he says, part of his reason is that he says I believe it's critical for a company to stand on its own, free of its founders' influence or direction, and as we're all business ladies and gentlemen, what are your opinions on this? Because running your own business, like doing your own thing, do you know what I mean? You're putting your imprint on your company. If it ever gets to like a huge size, would you step down? And also, do you think there should be different rules for, like, if we're talking about issues of ownership, should there be different rules for Black-owned companies? What do you think?
And Auntie Nana.
Okay. All right. First off, when I read this that he had stepped down, I felt like this was reminiscent of it was 2019 when lots of CEOs stepped down, but then they also reshuffled and money got shifted around, and then they went back into their positions again. And I was like, oh, that's quite interesting. So we have this new strain. Jack Dorsey stepped down. These guys are having their warring go into space. I wonder what new shuffling is going to come in, and we'll see that playing out next year, was what I thought. I don't think this has anything to do with business management, but more so to do with how you're spreading your money around. For me and my business, yeah, I would love to get to the space where I'm not at the helm of it and it is running and I do other things. So I would be happy to do that. And you know what I think about Black business? I don't think Black people should pay tax like a standard. It should just be like, this is a form of reparations. We should live differently to everybody else and we shouldn't be paying tax. And that should be the concession for Black business. Don't tax us. Just let us live because you've had the advantage.
Auntie Farah.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with what Auntie Nana said. It's not enough just to stay there and say slavery was a stain, colonialism was a stain on our history. Give us something back. I don't want to pay nutta tax, not one. I want all the money to go to me. Why is the Queen getting my dough? I don't understand it. She's got enough. Jack, what's his face? I reckon my tin hat's on again because I feel like he's done it just for tax reasons or for some sort of reason where he's going to shift now and then he's going to come back as executive CEO, flipping resident commercial person. I don't know. He'll get a new title and it'll be some next way for him to funnel some money, because I doubt very much that he stepped away from the money that thing's making. No way.
Auntie Sade. Uncle Dane.
Well, I agree with all of my fellow aunties. I feel like it's a very dubious thing that he stepped down. Like, if you're running $1 billion company, it's not likely you're just going to walk away. So I think he's probably removed a role where he's not going to be a lightning rod, or there may be some form of taxation or potentially monopoly and merger issue that he's trying to avoid, or he's anticipating. It sounds like you got a whistleblower coming out soon. So it seems rather dubious. But then at the same time, I guess, it's, if you do, but then it's also a solid business practice that you can get to the point whereby you can do a Jay-Z and sell Tidal and just stay on in a consultative role where you're still getting money, but you don't have to deal with the day-to-day. And I think the suggestion of no taxation for Black enterprises is an excellent one. I think people forget that the entire foundation of capitalism began with chattel slavery. And by that same token, because we built the financial system by which the entirety of the world thrives on, then we shouldn't have to pay tax then. And it's ironically, I think if you were able to prove that you were a Black-owned business and avoid taxation, you would see the increase in investment would be exponential.
Yes.
If companies really could invest in invest in companies that would avoid taxation, then yeah. And I think and on the same point of taxation, I think that's what the whole space race is about. That if people can in legally say that they occupy a particular part of another celestial body like Mars or the moon, then it will be a matter of time before people begin to relocate their offices off-world so they can avoid taxation, especially where there's been the proposal of a global tax that's supposed to be happening as well. So, yeah, if you could be like, global tax? I don't even live on the globe, baby. I live in space. Yeah, star man. I avoid tax.
I feel like I can't say much more different. Something about Black business. There's something I want to say about Black businesses taking on this approach. I don't know. Hand it over in a couple of years after you've done it. I don't think any of the capitalist world rules apply to us. We do things differently because we have to. So if it makes sense to us, yeah, sure. If it doesn't, then no. It's none of we move how we need to move to make ourselves successful. Do we
avoid capitalism as a whole when and Black businesses only trade in, don't pay tax and only trade in Acoin?
I'll do that.
Acon's cryptocurrency, and then we build a little bit of strength there as well. Still,
yeah, exactly. We focus on ourselves and don't mind what these people are doing, because they're all, as we were saying, we've got so many different opinions about what the hell he's up to, and it's like we can't even trust what he could just literally be I've had enough now, I'm done. But no, because of the way to say the word, how we know these billion.
I feel like he's, like when husbands are getting divorced and they hide their shit, and then they say, I don't have anything. Yeah, but I don't have anything.
That's the thing. We can't trust what they're doing. We can't trust what he's doing, so we don't know what.
Like that's what he's doing.
I feel like when Twitter is maybe subpoenaed because of the fact that they took money from like white supremacist interests or in order to avoid taxation through government, very similar to Facebook, this might be like their equivalent of Meta.
I was going to say,
you basically committed some some acts that you kind of facilitated and enabled treason, Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, I don't live in the real world, metaverse. So I would love to turn myself in, but I'm a citizen of the metaverse, and so I can't be there physically. But if you could imagine that there will be courtrooms and judicial systems in Meta one day, if you bear with me.
Exactly. Auntie Sade.
Yeah, I think I think for my main business, like my event management company, I don't think I'll ever step down. Just because it's like my baby, and yeah, I think like the legacy of it. But maybe other businesses I create in the future and stuff, like, but I do really, really, really strongly believe in Black ownership. Do you know what I mean? And I think like that's an issue sometimes with black brands that we love. They get to a certain point and then they're sold, and they're kind of like out of our community, out of our hands and stuff. And it kind of affects us because there's not as many. Do you know what I mean? So I think like, yeah, it would be great to have, if there was obviously if we didn't pay tax, that would be fucking amazing. Seriously.
Yeah, I don't see why we can't enjoy a global status as your average Emirati does in Dubai. Yeah. For me, it makes sense.
It makes sense. But that sense isn't the way forward of keeping us down. Let's get the comments and move on to the next.
Okay. I'm trying to think of what I've just said. Okay, I'm just going to go with Money B Udan says Epstein Maxwell's case is possibly why he is told to step down again. A lot of the tech guys are being linked to private island visits. Second time he's stepping down. Oh, so he's done this before. Okay.
Ooh. He's jumping before he gets pushed.
There you go.
It could be.
Uncle Dane.
Sorry, can I just say one thing about the Epstein case, yeah? Because I follow lots of different conspiracy accounts. And because it's in the Supreme Court, they're not allowed to have cameras in there. So there was a way for journalists to listen, and you could call up and you would be on a live link line and hear what is going on in the court. The line was not working yesterday. So nobody was able to listen to the court proceedings. I haven't been back on the account today, but yesterday nobody could hear what was going on in court.
They're not going to let us know the truth. They're not.
Because yesterday was the day
not know it and live.
Yeah. Yesterday was the day that she was telling them about Andrew, allegedly.
Right.
Why?
Allegedly.
Oh, of course it won't work.
And that's why William was like, the Africans. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
These Africans, they like sex. They're always having the sex, and that's the thing. They're always, these Africans are quite randy, if you will. My uncle, one might say my uncle's randy, but these Africans some of them have upwards of 5 children.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what his grandma had. She's had quite a lot of kids. She's had a lot of kids in that family, isn't it?
Yeah.
They have kids. They be having kids.
They be having kids.
Often with their cousins.
Come on, guys. Uncle Dane, quickly, what's your story?
That's not alleged. That's factual.
That's factual. I don't want to have another maroon story here, but I just saw the tragedy of at least 27 men, women, and children that were in a boat that capsized in an attempt for refugees to try and cross the channel over to the UK. And for me, it's like, I really, it's mad that we are now back at this point after a pandemic where people are still risking their lives and that of their family to cross over. And yet I don't understand how people don't make the link whereby your country makes money from selling weapons and then people have to seek asylum because their countries are in the midst of war and people can't link the two. If you're someone who has a problem with mass immigration through asylum seekers, then your government should stop selling implements of war that create the conditions needed for asylum in the first place. So I just want to ask the aunties, do you think people really clock how serious this issue is? Because I really feel like people don't understand that people are jumping on boats to kind of cross over and travel all the way down from Africa, all the way through North Africa and France for safety. I don't think people understand this tap ain't turning off, So I just want to get your thoughts right now.
I think people know how serious it is because it's never ending. But I think it's just like, how do you stop it? And this whole, the promised land over in the West is, and what's interesting to me is like, what isn't getting back to, I mean, actually, no, I'm not even going to say that. I'm not actually going to say that. The world has been kept destabilized, isn't it? Because the 1% stay rich. Like, my thing is always, why does the 1% want the world so destabilized? Because what have they seen that having a happy world where every country is stable, every continent is fine? What is wrong with that? That's what I.
Well, the first thing is, in a world of pax humana and harmony, is that people don't need so much fucking money.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. Like, so what's? I mean,
and then that means that they have no leverage, their power. That's the thing. But all
again, but even still, what's the big deal? Because power is power. But you lot are all governing over sadness, and you lot are in your little party where you're laughing. Wah, 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 wah. I've got so much money. Wah, 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 wah. But your house is disarray. You got kids that are in court every minute. You got incest. You got allegedly's all over the place. Every minute people's coming through. They're not happy. Rich people.
But they feel if we can convince people that what we have is what to be coveted, then we will always be respected. Because for the enlightened person, they don't want. They know they're not happy. But it's, if I can control the happiness outside of me, then I can still regain some control. In the same way that, like, anorexics, they're not fat and they're not hungry, but it's, I can't control any other aspect of my life other than what I eat. So I will hurt myself accordingly and hurt people around me. And people in the 1% are the same, that they realize that there's nothing but equality in death, and that if people, like the most of the laity, worship the idea of money and materialism, then they hold power. Remember, money only has the power that we give it, which is
this is all well and true. But like I said, I'm still stuck. And no matter logic we apply to it, why do you want a world that's in disarray? Because the whole thing with, like, my homeland is so disgusting that I'm going to get on a boat with my family, sometimes babies, children, and risk going across a whole body mass of water, or quick up in a plane, not necessarily knowing I might not make it. I'll hitch up in the heat of the wheel of a plane or something and hope for the best, rather than stay at home because my hometown is being bombed. I can't feed my family, all these type of things. And this is, I'm just at a loss. I'm at a loss for a lot of things in the state.
Because you remember, if you live in a gated community surrounded by private security, where you have water features and marble floors, and you don't see this shit.
But that's not true though, because you do see. You just turn a blind. Okay, I mean, I get it. You're providing logic.
No, I'm talking from the perspective of us, but it's like,
I get it.
When we consider the 1%, even when I talk to people in discussion about, like, the phenomenon of white or European supremacy as it exists in these countries, which are the economic leaders, they are the most medicated people in the world, the people that are the biggest recipients of psychiatric help, as well as cosmetic surgery, which means whatever they've been telling the rest of the world about what to aspire to, those who live in close proximity to that dream or the spell, whatever you refer to it as, they aren't happy. But then, by the same token, what we have to understand is that if we're trying to pursue a level of happiness or personal or spiritual contentment, one of the things you don't need when you achieve that is you don't need external material things. You don't need to chase any highs if you have a state of balance or happiness within yourselves, which means if you're somebody who is able to make money from people who feel angry or inferior to other people, which is basically the basis for all war or civil conflict, for example, you can't make money that way. There are people whose money is invested in division. Capitalism requires revenue streams, and revenue streams require individualism. When you have a family together, you all eat from the same pot. If you're single, you have to go to 5 different people are going to 5 different restaurants. That means that someone's making money from that. So really what it all comes down to, I believe, is that there are people who have commercial interests in doing this. Like the UK sells weapons and armaments and torture implements to despotic regimes. These create the wars. People from Syria who historically would have lived the same middle class or the same upper working class status as their English contemporaries or peers, that all gets turned upside down, because that's the place where Russia, China, America, and England decided to have a proxy war. So a proxy war means that you're sending weapons. Like, for every one missile, is like 26 million for a missile. That's how much you're paying for something you're never getting back if it works properly.
Imagine.
That's how you have to imagine the level to somebody. So you need to then create an entire consciousness of apathy, material aspirations, because if you keep everyone over here thinking they need to buy stuff and treading water financially, they don't stop to think about how people are suffering. It's like you've got to think of it on a smaller scale. It's like people don't like looking at homeless people because it reminds them that they're not too far from that themselves. And it reminds them that this idea of capitalism and aspiration fails many people. And the more homeless people that show up, the government tried to put a ban on it by doing stuff like putting spikes on benches and putting spikes on things like that. But what they can't stem the flow of, whether or not we want to accept it, is that there is a humanitarian, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, there is a humanitarian byproduct of capitalism in that, for example, you see how cars are getting closer to being driverless? Well, think about how many Uber drivers are going to be at the job when that happens. So this is the thing. We're just closely, I believe, getting closer to this apex point whereby we have to work out how we're going to coexist alongside industrialization and artificial intelligence and automation as human beings. What is it like? Who knows what a job is going to mean in just 35 years? You already talk to an automated bank. You can already have driverless cars. You can already interact with your McDonald's by just pressing buttons and not have any contact. Places like Japan and stuff like that, you can have a meal where you don't have any human contact whatsoever. That also provides a higher margin for people that are in charge of these kind of companies, as well as outsourcing. So it's just a matter of time, really. That's why
I just want to go back to the actual asylum seekers. What puzzles me, and maybe you guys can shed some light on this as well, is the amount of normal people, and I'd call them normal, working class, middle class people who really are like, why are they coming over here? Like the lack of empathy to somebody else's struggle, that they would actually like be picking up their whole family and traveling against waters and would actually back policies to not help these people. Like that boggles my mind, that you have human beings that are really okay with watching other humans suffer, and the level of empathy that seems to just be like trickling away, that you can just allow suffering to happen all around the world, and as long as it isn't on my doorstep, it's not going to affect me, but eventually it will come to your doorstep, because the way the world is going, once they do have automated labor forces, lots of people, how are you going to eat if we don't actually really hold on to the NHS or lobby for some type of universal credit so that everybody is getting paid a living wage? How are you going to survive when you don't have any skills? You don't know how to fix a car, you don't know how to cook, you don't know how to garden, you don't know how to grow anything, you don't know how to build a house. Like, really, what's going to happen? And you're thinking it's far away, but it's really close. It boggles my mind at how humans are allowing this to take place.
Well, humans here. Go ahead, Auntie. Yeah.
I was just going to say that I think as well, the problem is, again, it comes down to the information that a lot of people are receiving. If you think about it, the information that Middle England receive is not factual. It isn't. What was Brexit? What was Brexit all about? What they thought they were getting was not what they got. It's not what we got at all. The fact that there wasn't any petrol, and not because there wasn't any petrol to be delivered, it was just that there was no one able to deliver the petrol. Why is that? People don't receive the right amount of information because the people with the information are holding it close to their chest for financial gain. That's what it's about. And unfortunately, so I was just going to say, unfortunately, they won't empathize with people who are leaving their countries for the hope of a better life against war and hunger and poverty, because they don't see it. They just think, oh, you're coming here to take our jobs or some nonsense like that. They don't see it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's just trading on fear, isn't it? And I think it kind of like really like there's one like ignoring it, and then there's like, if you come here, what's going to happen to me? Because if you're already near the poverty line, for example, or you can see that your bills are going up, or you might not be able to pay for your energy bill, then you're going to see that anyone new coming in could be a direct threat to your potential livelihood or the livelihood of your offspring or whatever kind of thing. So it's just that whole fear-based, like fear-mongering, moral panics, like constantly. And I don't think I've, like, in my whole existence, I've ever seen any campaign where immigration has been seen as a good thing, whether it's ever been talked about as a positive thing. Really and truly, it's never, like, my whole entire life, And what really does upset me is like Black people, when they're like anti-immigration and stuff, and it's just like, your parents are fucking immigrants. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, do you not understand this? Like, stop trying to give it like special names. Like, it's just they immigrated here. That's what they did. They may not have been, you know, running away from a direct conflict, but they came here for a better life, just like these people are doing. And it is just like you're saying, Auntie Dana, like the lack of empathy. Like, generally, I think we're just constantly like desensitized the whole time, where it's just like, let me just look after mine, you know, that's it. Like, let me just look after myself and just really be disassociated with those people. It's a damn shame, man. But I think this government in particular is they're the worst at it, man. They don't give a shit. They really don't.
Let's get the comment.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say one thing. Well, if you think about Preeti Patel and the fact that she's the person that stands up and talks about immigration all the time.
I mean,
but she is a direct descendant of immigrants. She's like first generation, isn't she? Her parents came here, and she's going to stand up and talk about immigration. So if you've got someone like that talking about immigration, they're going to be like, well, she doesn't even think that they need to come here, so they don't need to come here.
Exactly.
They're gonna, you know, that's the problem.
What did you call it, Auntie AK? The devil shepherd
for the devil. Shepherd for the devil.
Shepherd for the devil. Yeah.
So I don't think that term is fair. I think that's shepherd. I mean, whore of the devil would be. Because she gets paid though, and then she fillets white supremacy. So that's why I said that.
Okay.
All right. That's quite accurate.
You know what? That's accurate.
Yeah, I quite like that.
For me, just quickly, it's just the fact that you got the French
Babylonian bedwench, if you will.
Oh wow. French president. You got Boris Johnson. You've got Westerners discussing the problem of immigration when they cause the problem of immigration.
Yeah.
That's the bit as well, man.
Let's get the comments, please, before we move on.
Okay. Right, so Ni Adate says, I think the immigration issue is too uncomfortable. Add to that, it's people that don't look like British people. It's easier for regular folk to disassociate. And Nicholas says, Auntie AK, I feel your pain. Some people do like misery. What you are frustrated at is the fixed mindset which believes in limited resources, or if one person wins, then it's their loss, or it does not make sense, but in their world, one person's success is less success available for another.
Yeah, basically. All right, we could get into this forever and ever, but we've got to move on. Two. Ding, ding, ding. Do you know what I'm really stressed about? I've lost my musical accompaniment.
No, do you know what you did? Do you know what you did with your musical accompaniment? Do you not remember what you did with it?
What did she do?
You wrapped it up in cling film and you put it in my daughter's belongings after she was with you. That's what you did with it. That's what you did. But you know what? You know what?
You never get it back, mate.
No, I did me a favor.
No, my love, I've got two. I actually wanted two. So that's actually a gift. But
we need the triangle back. But come on, let's keep on going.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to let you know, because I'm packing, there's everything's everywhere, so I can't find it. So, that was a gift to my goddaughter. So now it's time for Aunties Get In Your Business. Aunties Get In Your Business. Aunties Get In Your Business. We get in your business. Aunties Get In.
I'm all dancing, and this is a much more ominous section than I think it is. And I'm like, yeah.
One dancing, but it goes downhill from here, down. Aunties Get In Your Business.
Remember how I was happy and jovial at this section.
Yeah, until now. And with our special guest, Mr. Dane Baptiste. Auntie Nana, take it away.
Okay, all right. So we are just going to jump in at the deep end and get really to what everybody wants to know. This is why everyone's tuned in this week. They want to know, because we spoke about you last week. What happened between you and White Yardie? In your own words, we just want a quick summary of what went down and also why you didn't talk on the show.
Okay, cool. So the quick timeline is sometime around April of this year, volcano in St. Vincent erupted, and this obviously led to a natural disaster from where there were evacuees, and there was a lot of support required for St. Vincent. Now, some of my family are from St. Vincent, obviously because it's very adjacent to Grenada, and so within my family WhatsApp group, all of this information came up, and so I in turn went and bought supplies for macro. So I got a macro card, not bragging, just saying. Couple supplies, And then another comic friend of mine, Chrissy Charles, who his family is also from St. Vincent, were also running a relief effort. So I donated that way as well. And I left it at that because, as I'm sure you're all aware, it's very bad form for you to talk about your donations or your charitable work, because the idea of altruism is that you don't do it for attention. So I did what needed to be done. Also, and I want to give everyone this kind of context so you can understand my mindset, is that, like, following a pandemic, it would be remiss of me to ask anybody, particularly anybody of Caribbean descent, to part with their money when we are already predisposed to have the most risk of contracting COVID, would have had lost loved ones, and also because we are so overrepresented in skilled labor and menial jobs, it would probably be a bit rich for me to go on my social media and be like, you don't need to start donating money because you're from the small islands and what have you. So that was that. Then a video finds its way in front of me where White Yardie had apparently also been involved in a relief effort and decided to go in his car and rant expletives about how angry he is about the actions of, well, just Black Caribbean comedians, not Black Caribbean athletes or Black Caribbean entertainers or business owners or industrialists or members of the clergy, just 3 Black comedians who incidentally all were on TV in the same year. So I had done Famous the year previous, which came out in the start of 2021. Judy Love was involved on Loose Women and Mo being on his show, which is weird because he was also alongside Big Nasty, who was not mentioned in this rant. And so White Yardie took it upon himself to, before messaging me or having the conversation or inquiring into if I'd be interested in a relief effort, decided to go into his car, go on to his Instagram live and call out myself and Judy Love and Mo and question whether we are actual Caribbeans and our heritage and if we care about what happens in the Caribbean. Going further to cite the fact that I also had stories on my social media about Baghdad and Japan and the Caribbean and the Black Lives Matter, but not St. Vincent, even though people in St. Vincent are Black. Although I imagine, like in Jamaica, some of them are white too, but they weren't mentioned. And so after this, I was contacted by several members of the Blacks comedy community who assured me that they are more than aware of my work and that there's no need to respond to this. Following some kind of backlash that White Yardie got, he went on his former podcast, Chalk and Cheese, which he used to have with Kane Brown, the comedian, Dizzle, and I believe Christopher Savage, and decided to double down despite the fact that he had the facts that I had donated, and apologized to Judy and decided to double down and again, I mean, for lack of a better word, falsely accuse me of not representing my community and not using my platform to discuss Caribbean issues, which I think if anybody's been aware of my work over the course of a decade, I probably would argue that I'm maybe one of the most vocal Black comedians in this entire country when it comes to issues that affect my community, and have had no qualms about speaking to people in the public eye, which is why I am blocked by Piers Morgan, among many people, and Alan Sugar. And I got blocked by Piers Morgan because I said to him, I don't know why you're saying we, because you don't care about Anthony Joshua when he loses, he's Nigerian. And then told Alan Sugar he can fuck himself after he likened the Senegalese football team to selling bags on a beach.
Yes.
So, and just, like I said, most people who know my work will know that what I do. So because he decided to double down in protest and disgust, his friends, Kane Brown and Dizzle and Christopher Savage, they all walked off his show. So they ended the podcast because they weren't prepared to continue to allow him to lie because of the comments he was making about me. So that's the reason why Chalk and Cheese is no longer a podcast. And anyone who doesn't believe me can check the timelines. That podcast stopped in April when he's decided to open his mouth and tell lies about me. Okay. But given that he is somewhat, given that he put this on his social media, which also I need to point out as well, is quite strange that he would call me out because he didn't at me. So he didn't at me. He just mentioned my name, and it found my way through my family, and this clip going viral. So he didn't actually at me to actually draw my attention to the fact that he thinks I should support my community. Didn't message me in my DMs or send me any messages or message my management or any representation to ask about it. Just decided to get in his car and presume because he hadn't heard anything. But I just think it's very strange that the only people he called out are the other 3 Black British comedians that are on TV. Anyway, I digress. So naturally, he's obviously rabble-roused his fans and with his false implications. And then I did find myself added by fans who were like, you don't do this and you people need to do better for the community. To which I responded, if you feel I don't represent my community, you can suck your mum and so can White Yardie. Again, this is all in April. I want everyone to know this is all in April 2021, 6 months ago. So then he came into my DMs and went, suck your mum, suck my mum, yeah? And I said, no, let me rephrase that. Suck your white mum, because you're a white man. And even though you might be a Jamaican, you are still a white man. And my life and your life are very different where so far it goes in this country. So by that token, you are in no position to tell me how I need to conduct or express myself as a Caribbean, because you are a white man living in the United Kingdom. And at no point in my career have I ever questioned your Jamaican heritage or identity, nor told you how you should conduct yourself. And I would ask for at least have the respect to either check your facts or at least leave my name out of your mouth, because I have never took it upon myself to tell any other human being or artist how they should conduct themselves in this industry, despite whatever misgivings I may have. I don't agree with what everybody does, but it's not my place to tell anybody, particularly after a pandemic where most live performers have not been able to work for the course of 18 months. Yeah. So that was my position. You can suck your white mum, because however you feel, you're still a white man and I'm a black Caribbean. So our lives are not the same. That was in April. Fast forward to a few weeks ago when I appeared on the Apologetic show, and the producers told me that White Yardie would also be appearing on the show. So I made a point of principle and told them why I have no time for this guy, and I'm not particularly fond of him as a person because of him disrespecting me without any warrant or provocation. So when the show began, as a regular panelist, I sat in the show. White Yardie knew where I was. He stayed upstairs the whole time. The address is Miller Garage. It's in Clapton. It's E5. You can ask anybody that was there. You can speak to Cardiff Productions, because that's the production company that made it, and they can tell you. He stood upstairs the entire time. There was no point at which he came face to face to me to question or reprimand me for my comments about telling him to suck his mum. So when he came onto the show for the segment, I sat by myself, and Zizi turned and said, "Is there going to be an issue?" To which he responded, "I'm a grown man." So I rolled my eyes and continued to say nothing. So the section happened, I said nothing, and anybody who's watched the show will know when I'm asked about his heritage, I say, I do agree with White Yardie. He is Jamaican, but your nationality is very different to your racial identity. And I said, it's interesting that you can be referred to as a White Yardie and you won't be questioned, and yet black people who have been born and raised here will still be in a situation whereby they still have to preface their national identity by saying they are Black Caribbean before they say they're Black British. And if you don't believe me, anybody, you can look at any fucking application form and that will tell you where you stand. So that's why I remain silent. So after the show, and also during the show, before the filming began, White Yardie is a longtime friend of Yinka Bokany and her family. So through the merit of him being involved in entertainment and her being involved in entertainment, she's known him for 15 years. So Yinka actually is sure that he's a friend, and apparently he's called ZZ too. What followed that was a doctored clip that was released online, which inferred that everybody was attacking White Yardie for his heritage. I don't know how I ended up, because I didn't say a word during the entire time he was there. And that resulted in backlash, and his fans and other equally angry white working class white people and Jamaicans doxying Nicholas, who appeared on the show, as well as Yinka and Zizi. And strangely, at no point did White Yardie correct his fans or address anybody and let them know that Yinka was his friend and a family friend of over 15 years. And despite his Caribbean heritage, was happy to watch two young black women get lambasted on the internet for something that didn't even happen. And then I sat there saying nothing, and one of his fans commented, "Why is he not saying anything?" To which Persian rapper from Margate, Mike Righteous, replied, "Because I must be a pussyhole." To which I replied, "I know that a backpack rapper from Margate of Persian origin isn't talking about my Caribbean heritage." And that ended there. And then cue the last week or so, where White Yardie went on to create a fake image or a photoshopped image of the DMs that we had in April, and lied to his fans and to the rest of social media, implying as if that was an exchange that took place after the show, when what had happened was it happened back in April. And White Yardie has blocked me, and so I'm not able to get all of the DMs to prove that the exchange had also been courteous prior to me being on TV as far back as 2018, when I'd approached him about appearing on something for the BBC. But the point is that he basically doctored these messages and made it appear as if I had messaged him directly after the show, as opposed to saying nothing to him at the time, when in fact, the only correspondence I'd had with him ended in April. So essentially, what you've seen over the last week is the result of a man who has created a false video about Yinka and Zizi attacking him about his Jamaican heritage, where I said nothing, which some of his fans still haven't managed to work out, that I did not talk nor question his Jamaican heritage. So once again, if you are one of these people, watch the episode, you fucking idiot, and then come back to me, because half of you didn't watch the episode. And so yeah, the last week of mine has been people attacking me for being like, how dare you say that someone isn't of Jamaican heritage because they're white? And I was like, but I didn't say that. And they're like, how fucking dare you? And I'm like, but I didn't say it. I didn't say a word on the show. And then a lot of people have tried to give me the moral conundrum of, if someone said suck your black mum, what would happen then? And I'd be like, it would be just another day being a black person in England. Have we forgotten the Euros already?
Exactly.
What's going on? What's going on here? The prime minister of this country called black people pickaninnies, and you're worried about me saying suck my black this and suck my black that. Also, I'm more than aware that if he is Jamaican, which I'm sure he definitely is, that is not a problem and not something I would challenge. But it is himself that has called himself white yardie. So why are you offended if I say suck your white mum when that is factual? Because you never called yourself a yardie or yourself Harry the Jamaican or Harry George or Harry the Yardie. You said white yardie. So you are aware that putting white in front of it gives it a distinction, because any Jamaican who has lived in this country will know that the term yardie has never been associated with something positive. And in fact, a lot of anti-black legislation such as Operation Trident and Stop and Search are all predicated on these terms like yardie. And if anybody had paid attention to mainstream media back in the early noughties and the late 90s, even black men involved in 419 scams would be referred to as yardies.
Yep.
So it's sorry. So that's what's happened basically. So I am more than prepared to field any questions anybody may have, including the chat now.
Okay, I have 2 questions. Yeah, one, my first question is: in this kind of like whole world of like cancel culture, do you think that the apology that you made, did you think that's the thing that you would apologize for? Like, because you do say some quite controversial things, and did you think that would be it? And then my other question is around the suck your white mum comment. Like, do you kind of accept that is comes across quite rude? Was that your intention? It sounds like, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Was that your intention? And do you see why people kind of jump to defend that, basically, or get involved in that?
Okay, so the first answer to your first question is that the explanation I gave online was because of the fact that the exchange that has been presented to people at large is faked. So I was just giving an explanation as to why it appears that I said suck your mum to him after the show, when in fact I was following an exchange where he initially attacked me with no provocation in April. So that's the response there. And the explanation is just to let people know that there was no exchange between me and White Yardie. He didn't say a word to me. He sat there, didn't make any eye contact, didn't say anything, didn't even screw up his face at me. And he is the Jamaican that was told to suck his mum. Now, I know Yardies well enough, or black Yardies, that if I told them to suck their mum and they saw me on a floor of a TV show, it'd be on.
Site.
It'd be on site. So there you go. So I guess it's very different when you're a white Yardie and you get told to suck your mum. Because black Yardies wouldn't have that, would they? So if your second question is, do you understand why people think it's wild? Yes, because I'm a comedian and I say wild things. So when people say stuff to me like, what if someone said suck your black mum? What would you say? I would say, well, at least her pussy would be seasoned, unlike your mum's pussy.
Okay, next question.
And you know why? Because I'm a comedian and comedians say wild shit. And if you're a comedian and you can't handle wild shit being said to you, then you don't need to be a comedian, do you? Because whatever White Yardie thinks he's been offended by, I've had my life threatened on social media since I was on Twitter. So if you've been told to suck your mum is a problem, I've been told I'm going to be murdered and exterminated and killed, and my family will be killed by white supremacists all the time. You know what I didn't do? Make a video being like, attack them on my behalf.
Yeah.
So if your issue is being told something mean is too hard for you to endure as a comedian, this might not be the job for you. And his mum's white. So I don't understand. I didn't say suck your mum because she's white. I said suck your white mum.
Let's go back to the beginning. Auntie Nana, let's ask the first question after that.
I feel like there might be other questions.
There will be, but let's go back because Uncle Dane's got to go soon as well. So let's go back to getting the facts, because people actually don't know who he is. Go on, Auntie Nana.
And guys, if you have questions in the comments as well, please.
Yeah, feel free, please.
Okay, so I guess my first question, just so that you can introduce yourself, is tell us in your own words what you're known for. What do you do?
Other than telling people to suck their mums.
I mean, this doesn't happen often. I mean, that would be a lie. It probably does happen very often. I'm a stand-up comedian, a comedy writer, and an occasional actor and podcaster. Yeah, and then when I'm not doing that, just being a very nice human being.
Auntie Sade.
What do you want the world to know about you?
That I'm a nice person, but unless you are my parents and you want to question my identity, you can suck your mum. I want the whole world to know that. I would never tell any other human being on earth how they should express themselves and actually assume their identity. That is a particularly sensitive notion when you consider that we are in the midst of still trying to ascertain and understand our own identity as members of the diaspora or Afro-Caribbeans or as Black people. So we are always still wrestling with our nomenclature and how we regard one another anyway. We're also trying to break free of transgenerational traumas whereby we associate negative or we excuse negative behaviors associated with our race. So by that token, I always make it a point of principle that I have never told anyone who would identify particularly as Caribbean how that should be done. And so by that same token, I think anybody who identifies as Caribbean, and I would assume is for the common pursuit of realizing more opportunities for all members of the diaspora, whether they are from continental Africans or Caribbeans, would understand that what we need to show publicly at all times is solidarity. So even if White Yardie felt like I wasn't representing or I wasn't posting stuff, even though I was, he could have very easily questioned me and been like, Dane, this is what's going on in St. Vincent. I beg, man, just post something in that because you got a good platform. And I would have been like, I couldn't be happier to help you, bro. Let me know what you need and I will be there. So that's what I want the world to know. Because, and by the same token, then, I'm saying if we're going to be calling people out, well, the year before that, I raised £40,000 for the ACLT. I didn't see no one jump in their car, start crying over that. And I'm not bringing it up to say that I'm a good person or that this should qualify me as a good person. I'm just saying that if we're going to critique the losses, can we celebrate the wins as well with the same energy, please?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Speaking of celebrating wins, am I not next?
No, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Why not?
No, you're not.
Oh, sorry. I feel like I had a question. My question kind of leads in though, still.
Okay, well.
No. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to show Grenadian bias, but I'm saying a fellow countryman may have a very burning question right now.
I know you put me on the spot, but I was literally just going to say, because you were talking about celebrating wins and stuff like that, I was going to say, I think
it does.
What is your highlight? What would be on your highlight reel?
Work-wise.
Yeah.
You know what?
Life-wise, whatever you feel is like a something you've done that you feel was a great achievement for you. What would be on that reel?
I mean, I've just really, I guess the pandemic slowed everything down. So it was just reflected on the point. I'm at a point in my life where I can just say that I do what I want with my life. I have the career that I want, and there's still work to do, but I am one of the lucky people on earth that can say that they do what they love for a living. And that's the biggest win, really. I think by having that, it frees me up in so many other ways, egotistically. And, I've always wanted to be, when I have kids, be able to tell my children earnestly to chase dreams and stuff like that and be living proof of that and lead by example. So I can actually, So I guess the biggest win is that I do what I love in my life, innit? So it's a rarity.
Go on, Auntie Nana.
Love it.
No, it's your question now.
No, you go next and I'll go after. It's
okay. Fine. All right. So what would be on your blooper reel then? What would you delete from your life so far?
Getting drawn out by White Yardie most recently, and entertaining the people that support him. But at the same time, I genuinely believe I understand where they're coming from, and in terms of the fact that I understand why they have the mentality they have, and I believe that's a part of a much larger conversation. Because even if White Yardie's fans are watching and listening, that's absolutely fine. And if you are a fan of White Yardie, that's absolutely fine too. But ask yourself this: if I went on stage and called myself Black Britain, how would I be received by both British and Caribbean people alike?
You're literally saying what we said last week.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we said.
Because it's funny, because a lot of people there was a lot of inference by White Yardie fans, and Dane only performs for white audiences, and Dane only does stuff for black, doesn't really perform for black people. And even certain musicians and stuff are being like, oh, that's a really posh suck your mum, by likening my articulation or enunciation to whiteness, which I thought was a shame, because I saw that same grime artist wearing a purple spandex suit in a video once, and I never said anything to him. So I think that's quite sad. And again, I would never, and I'm not saying that to ridicule that person. I'm saying I would never question another Caribbean person's form of expression if ultimately the goal is for that person to be better expressing themselves and push for more opportunities and for more creative horizons for Caribbeans as a whole. So I felt kind of bad that man went at me like that, but say lovely.
Because I was going to say that I think last week I had said that how would White Yardie play? Because can White Yardie play to white audiences?
No, he can't.
Exactly.
No, exactly.
Because if he could, I imagine he would have been able to do that by now, like you see someone like Mo Gilligan does, or I myself does. What I also find strange is that, you know, I admire the fact that he seems so in tune with the issues that are happening in the Caribbean. I find it very strange given the fact that David Cameron pledged to not only build but fill a prison in Jamaica in 2016, which has now turned into some deportations where only 4% of the people that were deported in the Windrush scandal have received compensation, and people continue to die in absentia. I'm just saying, if I was Jamaican, that would piss me off.
Yeah.
If my fellow countrymen were being deported from this country when we all came here, like I did, to work hard and have a life over here, and people started kidnapping members of my family and my friends and sending them back home, and their aunts and their uncles and their grandfathers and their grandmothers were getting sent home. If I was Jamaican, I'd be upset about that. But it is not my place to tell any Jamaican how they should express themselves any more than when the SARS tragedy was happening in Nigeria, for me to go in my car and go, some of you Nigerian comedians need to start doing something because you're not using your... It's not my place to tell any other human being how they choose to express themselves. Right. And if you do want to lead activism, lead by example.
Yeah.
Because
equally with that, I suppose, like, the thing is, people, it's like you said originally, just because people don't see you doing anything doesn't mean that you're not doing anything. A lot of people give to charity and they are part of a lot of reputable and worthy causes, but they don't stand on top of a roof and sing and dance about it.
There you go. But even when they do, it's very strange that Lenny Henry is also a Jamaican who runs an entire comic relief with the sole purpose of providing relief to people, members of the diaspora that suffer. So if you're going to call me and say I have a platform on BBC, surely it would make sense to call one of the most prolific Black British comedians from Jamaica that has ever worked in this country, as well as Richard Blackwood, as well as the Big Nasty, or even the rapper Mist is from Birmingham, but he's ethnically from St. Vincent. It seems very strange that you wouldn't actually call people actually from St. Vincent to help out with this relief effort when they have much bigger platforms than I do and also deeper pockets. I mean, White Yardie himself has 5 times the followers I do online. Surely it makes sense for him to have the platform rather than myself.
Yeah. Can I just ask quickly, just following on from that, like, see the people who aren't necessarily his fans, but were just kind of like capping for him. Like, what do you think about those people? Because it seemed particularly strange to me, and I think to all of us, that like so many people were kind of like running to his aid. It just seemed bizarre.
Well, do you want to know the honest answer? I can give you the honest answer if you want. All right. So really, first of all, what you have is that there are people who are online, and there are a lot of people who may not be necessarily white, but maybe of dual heritage, or maybe are 3rd or 4th generation, who themselves struggle to be who find Caribbean culture accessible or be able to penetrate and find their place within a culture which they're supposed to be connected to. So White Yardie works as a very good, I suppose, entry point for them to be immersed in Caribbean culture in a way that's very palatable. In the same way that there are many people who go to David Rodigan for their dancehall in this country, or Tim Westwood for their rap music. So there are a lot of people that identify with that, particularly in a country where we are like maybe 6% of the population. That's number one. Number two, like, you know, Jamaica has, since, you know, gaining its independence to an extent, has for a very long time really only has been very well inculcated into the normalcy of white figureheads for their community and for social change, as far back as Michael Manley and Edward Seaga. Like, despite the intensity of political unrest in Jamaica, at the forefront of it has always been non-Black Jamaicans, in the same way that despite the fact that Jamaicans do make a lot of noise about the multicultural nature of the society, which is the same across the Caribbean, what we all are aware of is that the poverty line in Jamaica is massively overrepresented by Black Jamaicans as opposed to anybody else. But by that same token, being an industrialized nation and being a capitalist nation, it is very much taught to them that the closer you gravitate towards whiteness and European or Eurocentricity, the more successful you become, hence the normalcy of the use of skin bleach and places like that in Jamaica. So when a man comes along who basically has an aesthetic, which most people are used to, being a straight white man, but is also able to mimic parts of Black culture, well, everybody rejoices in the same way they would about a Tekashi 6ix9ine, or the same way they reduce about a Sam Smith or Adele. Well, his fans, but in the same way that, you know, it allows for Black culture, which is typically seen as the most innovative and popular culture, to be more penetrable to people that would otherwise find the more nuanced aspects of this culture to be obscured. But then by the same token on the others, so that's why people cape for him. And also because of the fact that, like, by that same token, where people feel enamored by and validated by a straight white man mimicking their culture and mimicking their mannerisms, by me being enunciating words and appearing well-spoken and articulate, these are features which people have learned to associate with whiteness. So they're a lot more adverse to me, and that's also a after effect of the fact that historically Caribbeans, majority Jamaicans, especially over here from Windrush onwards, have always had to endure a traumatic connection with academia. So if you've been rejected from schools for so many years, the idea of someone appearing academic is something you associate with your oppressor. So as a black person, if I talk well and I speak well, I sound like I'm more white. Whereas if a white guy appears to be straight and white and working class but Caribbean, black people have been told that this is more akin to these traits are more akin to who you are, whereas the traits that he displays are more akin to your oppressor. So this is why people will cape on his behalf. And I understand that, but what I will say is that he doesn't ever speak to any white comedians that make 10 times the money I make. And when you look at someone like John Cleese, who lives in the Bahamas, but was remarked and quoted as saying that London is no longer a white place anymore because there's so many different people there. Again, as a Caribbean person who has been embraced by black people, as well as being embraced by Caribbeans, despite being born in the UK, I would have taken an umbrage for that and spoken on behalf of my community and told John Cleese to go fuck himself. No, I did that. He didn't do that. I did that. White Yardie didn't do that. Anytime any white person speaks badly about the Caribbean, they get it in their neck from me, not from White Yardie. In the same way that even if White Yardie supporters are listening now, well, it's been 6 months since the volcano went off. Are we to assume that all the evacuees have gone home back and safe again and don't require any more relief? Please let me know, because I don't understand why he's not talking about it anymore, because it got him so angry before that he got in a car and started calling my name.
Yeah. All right, moving on to... Okay, wait a minute. Can I just double check? We have 5 minutes left till you said that you need to go.
Yeah, I do need to go, yeah.
Oh, damn it.
No, I really do need to. I want to stay, definitely.
Okay,
I'd
so
love to.
Move through the last two questions, quite a few questions quickly. So...
let's say I got like 9 minutes.
Okay, cool. Okay. All right, so quickly, just to turn it a little bit to get onto a different topic. I forgot where my question was. Okay, everyone's got a bit of uncle or auntie in them. What's your uncle trait?
I think it is, drunken outbursts. not that it's fueled by alcohol, but it's the kind of thing you'd say he must have been drunk to say that shit. As I'm sure there's more than enough evidence to suggest that. Like, what was Dane under the influence of when he told this brother to suck his mum is what everybody's wondering.
That uncle there. Auntie Sade, go to your one.
Okay, and so who in your family did you turn to or do you turn to for advice, and what's the best piece of advice that you've been given?
The person I turn to most frequently for advice would be my older sister and my dad. They're very similar in their personalities. They're quite stoic, and they can just basically tell me things how it is, which doesn't mean that they're rude or anything like that, but just very honest, and they can do that almost quite logically without too much emotion and agenda. I think the best advice I've been given, I think the advice that's probably at the forefront of my head right now, given what we were just discussing, was from a comedian called Mr. C, who helped mentor me when I started doing comedy. And he said before anything else, you have to be able to laugh at yourself. And because if you can't do that, then you have no right to stand up on stage and tell other people what's funny. Which is why I find it funny that just because, how anyone who, like, I'm just saying, if you're Jamaican, and you don't want people to say suck your mum, don't make songs about it then. Because that's where I learned it from. That is funny when people say, when it's towards the end where they go, I learned in the song, well, I learned a lot of these people are gonna like this tune, just because I know so then we do it for. So when you see hypocrite and backbiter, put on your scroll face and on this tune, Sakanoma, Sakuna. Exactly. And that tune's right. Straight patois, and I learned that from Jamaicans. They said when you see hypocrites and backbiters, and that's how I felt. He was hypocritical and he bit my back because he didn't even at me in his initial rant 6 months ago.
Quickly, look, we've got, this is going to be a hard one for us. Let us, look, you've got a choice. Let us solve your issue that you have, or we'll give you some unsolicited advice. What do you want from the answers?
I would, sorry about that, 1 second. I would like, sorry, Mama's on the line. She can hear me swearing. That's why. She can hear me swearing. So I would like your advice. I would like to seek your sage advice.
Have you got an issue that you want us to solve, or you just want us to tell us about yourself?
How can I can I rebuild the rapport between me and some of the Jamaicans I may have offended when I told people to collectively suck their mums in a human centipede?
I feel like you could take that back. No.
I could.
Aunties, how could Uncle Dane repair his relationship with the
particular contingent of Jamaicans? Because I don't believe because you know what, I'm just saying, if Marcus Garvey was about and a man said white yardie, how would Marcus Garvey feel about that, Jamaicans? That's all I'm asking you. How would he feel about that?
Aunties, how do we solve a problem like Uncle Dane and his relationship with Jamaicans? Some Jamaicans.
What I haven't done on this podcast is go, Jamaicans, I eat Jamaican food all the time. Do you know? My mum's sister is married to a Jamaican.
I've had a bit of that, Aki.
Yeah, I tried Raggy. I like a bit of Raggy. You know, the other day I had a vegetable pasty. It was delicious. In between some cocoa bread. Weren't much chocolate in it though, but it was lovely nonetheless.
Come on now.
I went to the podcast with Levi Roots.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Honestly, I think that type of black person, and I'm putting them under that bracket, it's a particular type of black person. And I think you described the mentality and phenomena that they fed into pretty well. I don't think you're going to reach them, and I don't think you need to, because I think that they are slightly unreachable. And they are going to find people within the space, whether it's White Yardie or somebody else, that fulfills that short of another word, but that kind of ghetto mentality. And they are going to occupy that space. And it's a
white paternity complex. And I understand exactly where it comes from. It's a paternal complex, in the same way that, you know, it's not too far away from the idea that some Caribbean people think we still need the Queen as a head of state.
Precisely that. And Africans have it too. It's like you've submitted to they are better than, and their words are more legitimate, and their welfare and well-being should be placed ahead of anybody else's. That they feel comfortable is paramount. And that was the thing watching the show. I felt uncomfortable watching it. I literally was like, this is a really tense talk that they're having, and it lacked something because there was that tension. And there are other people that would be like, instead of it being challenging, which for me, it was like, this man needs to be challenged way more than he's being challenged. Other people would be like, why are they challenging him? Because white comfortability means more to them than anything else. It doesn't matter if black people are on the back foot. It's this white man needs to feel comfortable. And that level of empathy that you'll extend to White Yardie, they are not going to extend it for a black person, you or anybody else. So it's just like, what can you do? You can't do anything to reach them, in my opinion.
I mean, I chose one thing to do, but I'm not sure if that was the right thing. But I feel fine with it. No, I told them what they can suck. So
I think that you should drop a track, professing your love for Jamaicans and Jamaican culture.
Oh, Auntie Sade.
Wearing a Bob Marley.
I will. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put tug of war on it, and then we'll see. It'll be tug of war, Collie Buds, and Snow. Yeah, it'll be Collie Buds, starring Snow, Collie Buds, and Chet Hanks.
What's that guy's name?
And you need to then say to them, Jamaicans are the best. Jamaica is the best country in the Caribbean. Us small islanders are just in awe of your landmass, and we want to be. And then it'll be fine.
Really want fine. My ancestors to come and slap me in my dreams, Auntie Faz.
One by one.
In it. In a queue as well. I am Herman Baptiste. I was the one that ran away first.
And you know they do that, innit?
Yeah. You don't have to do a damn thing. You shouldn't have to do a damn thing. But I definitely think a nice reggae tune with white artists, like, you know, the guy from what's it called, UB40, definitely.
Oh, Simply Red guy.
Simply Red guy.
Yeah,
They
Mick
were
Hucknall
like
as
a
well.
red wine remix and really make it very
And they go
cool.
like this. Ooh, actually, I love what you did. Every day, yeah. I don't even mind it was born in the UK.
You can even get that Peter Andre from his
get Peter Andre.
The most Jamaican artist of the 20th century.
Yeah.
Peter Andre.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Peter Andre is what Ed Sheeran is to culture now.
Yeah. Basically. I guess we've got to go because it's now 4 minutes past.
I feel so bad. I'm gonna have to go earn some of this money. Take a pause to for the cause, but this has been wonderful. Aunties, it's always a pleasure, man. You know, it's always family all the time. And do you know what? Can I just do a shameless plug before I go?
Yes.
Thank you for everyone listening to this and watching on the stream as well. I will be appearing again on Unapologetic on Thursday, the 2nd of December, where we will be discussing race and royalty and identity. Look out for it. It also stars Anton Ferdinand, Echo Eshen will be on there as well. Inaya Falarin will also be on there. So the conversations continue.
Oh, that would be a good one.
Yeah, exactly. Look out for Dane's comments on Kate Middleton. That's a little clue for you.
Oh, okay.
We're going to be doing this again in about 2 weeks, is what I'm trying to say.
We'll be back to ask more questions like, what did you do now, Dane? Thank you, Uncle Dane. It's been wonderful.
Thank
you.
We
will have you back again, most definitely.
Please do. I cannot wait.
Can I just say, I loved listening to your podcast. I just found it when we found out that you was coming onto the show, and I listened to 5 episodes today, and I really love what you're doing. It's right up my wavelength. I love it. It's brilliant.
I was literally, one of the questions I was going to ask you if we had more time was like something off your podcast, but next time.
You know what? In fact, Auntie Faz, please send in a question to the podcast, and we'll answer it on the episode as well. And what we'll do a flip in it. You lot come on my podcast.
Let's
see that happen.
Let's see that.
Right.
That'd be amazing.
That'd be good.
All right, well, Aunties, always a pleasure. You know, I love you like cook food, and I'll see you guys soon. Thank you, everyone, for listening as well.
Bye. All right. So, that was wonderful.
That was amazing.
Let's get into the culture. Let's get in for the culture. Where we get into what we're watching, what we're chatting about. Oh, actually, wait. Let's get the comments. Sorry, I didn't even get a chance to get all the comments. There were so much comments because we had to go. We didn't get to questions.
We need to do a few though.
You only do a few.
Yeah.
I mean, actually,
I won't go through all of them. I'll do like the first lots that I get to. Okay, Iola said, well said, and big up to you, Uncle Dane. Nothing controversial about you at all. You're simply speaking the truth, and you were too real for most. The people who defend him are coons. Neodate says, Dane's right. A lot of these folks aren't ready, and dare I say it, don't have the intellectual nuance to have that convo. And ZW said exactly, if he wasn't Jamaican, what would the material be? Who would the audience be? He doesn't have the range, and that is okay, but he could have sat this one out. I'm trying to see if there's anything else pressing, if any of you see anything. Just lots of congratulating and laughing. Literally, I don't think I've laughed so much in a segment ever that we've done. And I've laughed a lot on this podcast. But yeah, he had me in stitches. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I think, JD, you joined too late, so you missed the whole conversation. So you better watch it back, Mr. JD. Okay, now it's time for the culture, where we get into what we're watching, what we're wearing, what's going on in the culture, what's people chatting about. And I actually don't know about this culture one. I've just seen it been added. Cuppy appeared. Cuppy is an it girl, an influencer, a very educated socialite, who we got more attention or more attention to the DJ. We got to know a bit more about her on the Channel 4 show High Life, the reality show. Is it High Life? It was High Life. Yeah. So she's a funny, eccentric young lady. So apparently she appeared on 3 shots of tequila and said she feels like Black women put too much pressure on Black men for money. And so what do you guys think? Is this true? Oh, and also other things to go with. There's something on the Shade Bar. Someone called Christine said, a guy friend of mine asked me what's a realistic budget to set aside for a girlfriend every month, and I couldn't give a figure. Another thing is Justice Fulani. Tion Wen said he's going
No, the response, babe.
Oh, the response is that important. Sorry. And the response to that question is, it depends on his income, but I'd say around 20% of his earnings. Say he makes 5K monthly, then 1 to 1.5K should be fine for the weekly dates and a small monthly gift. There's that. Also, we're saying that possibly now, finally, the wonderful Lani Good is going to get her just desserts, where Tion Wayne said he's going to pay her debts. And also,
you see the breaking news.
Breaking news. And then Jessie Nelson, former Little Mix person, has been spotted. Little Mix person spotted kissing Leanne, for also Little Mix person's ex Lucian Laviscount. I don't understand. And the question is, why are you so obsessed with me? There's so much going on. Sorry, I'm not prepared for this bit. So, guys, help me out here. Which one do you want to deal with first?
So, can we just go to Lani first? Because according to me,
come on, do breaking news.
Tion Wayne has just paid 7K to Lani Good.
Oh, wow.
So he may have just paid the debt. And like, hopefully, after all this time.
This is what she said. She said it was 8K.
Wait. Okay. Hold on. Can we just give everyone who doesn't know about this whole situation a little overview, please?
Right. So Lani Good alleges that she was in some sort of relationship with Tion Wayne, this allegedly, and behind her back, he purchased a watch, a very expensive watch. Basically on finance. And there's been a direct debit basically coming out of her account, and they kind of broke up allegedly. And basically, she's been wanting her money back. He's blocked her, kind of pushed back from her, and she's basically come to the end of her tether and has done a series of what you can only describe as stunts to get his attention, to make people and raise awareness about her cause in terms of getting her money back. So this includes Christmas videos. She done a Halloween comedy skit. What else did she do? Photo shoots. She's done it all basically.
She's done free tell-alls story times about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, So now today he posted a video was posted of him saying, you know what, I'm just gonna pay it because she got another, I think this week she got another a request from the bailiffs, and she was doing a video very upset kind of thing, and saying that this is what she has to deal with, and this is like very real for her. So he's saying that he's gonna be the bigger person and pay it. He doesn't feel like he's done anything wrong. He did say in that video that she was never my girlfriend. Everything that happened was consensual and that sort of thing. But now he's decided to pay it. So
what does this prove to everybody in the room? Aunties, what does this prove? What advice can we give to people in this situation? What is it? What's the situation here? Who gets the advice? Tion or Lani?
Both of them.
Yeah.
Both of them need a talking to. From what I could piece together from what he said, because he hasn't spoken about it. When she was doing everything, he was always like, oh, she is talking about me. This was the first time yesterday that he did a video addressing it. And he says that he did have consent to use her identity to get the Rolex watch on finance. And she did pay the first sets of payments that came out. And then they broke up properly. He was like, I'm not going to sleep with you anymore. And then it escalated. And then she was stalking him. So he blocked her. And that to him, he's like, all right, so we broke up. That I guess that debt is yours or something, because you said I could get this watch. She's decided, no, I was only going to pay for it. This is his version. I was only going to pay for it if we were together. More than anything, for any young female, it is you have to be very, very clear with your identity, your cards. When he was asking for her card and stuff, and the status of their relationship isn't clear, he shouldn't have had access to anything of hers, really, for him to then now be like, you weren't even my girlfriend. But I'm just glad that she's getting her money back. But he owes her compensation for the emotional damage that he's caused. She is damaged.
I think my advice, my problematic advice is going to be never, ever, ever give up. If you're in the right, never give up. You always get a result. And I actually commend her consistency, her efforts, her
2
energy.
years, you know, 2 years solid she's been at it.
Because I've been there where I've been in a situation where someone tried not to pay me, and I literally had to email them every day. I wasn't as like as this, but I literally had to email like, "Hi," do you know what I mean? Here's my bad deal. Here's this for a very long period of time, and they did pay me in the end.
Don't get me started, Auntie Farah.
Yeah, I've got a bag of advice. One, don't buy things that you can't afford. Like, what are you trying to prove? Well, did you think that? Okay, she says in the video, I thought he was getting trainers. That's what she says in the video.
You
right?
didn't say that.
Yeah.
But
How?
don't buy what you can't afford. Like, what she should have done is she should have clapped that watch back and taken it back to the store and said, here you go. I can't afford that shit. Let's lock off that debt. Or she should have just, I don't know what she should have done. I just feel like she shouldn't have got into bed with him in that financial way. That's what she shouldn't have done. As for him, my issue with him is this. You knew she can't afford the thing, right? You booped her, basically.
Yeah.
Fair enough. You booped her when you was broke. When you was like, come on your come up. You're up now. You're sitting in Dubai or wherever the hell you are, flossing. Just pay her money. It's nothing. Pay her. It's like one performance. It's one song, one appearance on one show. Just fucking pay her money. Just give her dough, because this would have been a lot quieter, a lot sooner if you just paid her. She's been able to make a whole... Go on, you want to say something?
No. Go.
Oh, she's been able to make a whole income out of this, and you're mad at her because she's talking about you. She's only talking about you because you haven't paid her. So just pay her. Like, people are like, what's she going to do now? Yeah, what's she going to do now? But on her video, she did say, of course I get paid for when I talk about him. Of course I do. And I have a right to. And I kind of agree with her.
Yeah, I do.
What's she meant to do? This is her life. This is her story. If she wants to chat about it, she's getting a fee. And he's not talking, then that's on you. You should have just paid her cash, and then she could never have spoken about you, because your receipts would be, but I paid you though. Yeah. You pay if you owe someone money and you pay them, what can they say? Oh, but you took a long time, but I paid you though. Have you got your cash? So what's the problem?
I fully agree. Part of me thought, I wonder if he didn't have the money to pay back all this time. Because, you know, like, there's a floss and a pretense that I got dough, but you don't. Maybe there's so much bills coming out your account that you couldn't actually pay it. So now he's got a little bit of surplus of money. Now he can pay it. That's an interesting thought to me.
That's why I said do one show.
That's I'm saying, but even that one show might have got you. He's got.
I think he was totally gaslighting her. He didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He didn't. There's also the reality that people fake it a lot. Yes, like you all said, don't listen. Sex, lust, pretense, relationships. Don't mix your money with that until you've got more security in the status of your relationship. You cannot. Girls, don't do it. Men don't do it, but girls really don't do it. Don't do it. Don't be mixing money. It's not love. It's not real until you've got that official, even with the official status. I don't even know where the lines can be drawn, but nah, let's not do that. Something else I was going to say, and I can't remember what it is, so come back to me. Let's get the comments.
I was just going to say quickly, yeah. I just think that to Tion though, and or guys like Tion, like this is not cool, man. It's not a good move. Like, stop taking advantage of these girls, man. Do you know what I mean? He's got away. He thought he could get away with this, but she just turned out to be the wrong one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, that's my thing. Keep talking, women, because I think we are very much treated. We're forced to be silent. Men, like, how could you say that? We're forced to be loyal all the time. When we talk about what the badness that men do, we get called lavish. We get made to feel like we're disloyal. I will keep saying that. The motherfucker that cheated on me had the cheek to say to me, "Why did you talk to my missus?" He asked me why I broke our loyalty together. Man told me I'm actually still with my children's mother, and then he expected me to be quiet and not speak to her and lavish the whole of the thing that we was going through. I told her from A to B, month 1, month 2, month. I told her everything because I wanted my facts. And the man had a cheat to tell me I can't believe he spoke to her. What the fuck? Where's my law? Why should I be loyal to you after you just disrespected my whole system for 8 months? Fuck you. So this is women, please, like Lani, talk the things. Don't be fooled into silence. Don't be shamed into silence. As long, like, even if you're, whatever the case is, whether you're wrong or right, if the man's fucked you over, don't stay stum to act like you're, because we're made to feel like you're not a good enough woman. You're not that loyal woman. You're not a ride or die if you talk the things. And you're this, and lots of women get silenced into taking on bullshit and not freeing their mental health and their security and sanity because they're trying to make sure that they don't come across as that type of woman. It's so stifling. And I bust joke about my ex, but it's really, really still because I didn't give a fuck at times in my life where I've not said anything when I really fucking should have said some stuff. But because I was so like, I'm not going to be that woman because I don't want to be seen or judged to be that woman. Women get this labeling all the fucking time. No, talk the things. Don't let men get away with it because they're never held to account. They're never held accountable. Too many men get away with doing bullshit. Lani, listen. If you date me and you fuck me over, going forthwith, I'm going to make records. I'm going to do tunes. I'm going to come onto the Aunties and talk the things. You're lucky. My ex is lucky I'm not saying his name just because he's got children and shit. Otherwise, I would say his fucking name too, bruv.
Honestly, I think he's lucky. Another girl would go nuts. Another girl might hurt you. Another girl might send you to prison, to be honest. So he's actually even lucky.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to go through what JD has actually just said. So he's like, so JD's comment is, so y'all just condoning her behavior, question mark. She's obsessed over him and cussed him out at every opportunity. What about keeping it classy?
JD, sorry, I need to get off. All I'm saying is, like, why don't you ask him why he didn't filter and check the women that he's dealing with? Because if he could have seen her signs, red flags, all this type of stuff. Talk to your brother about the type of women that he's choosing then. She don't need to keep it classy. She's who she is. Tell your brothers to pick better then. Don't tell her. She is who she is. Sorry, Auntie Farah, go ahead.
Yeah, all of that. But also, keep what classy? He's not keeping it classy when he's talking about her business and saying that you weren't my girl, we were just doing this, that, and the other. He's not keeping it classy. And the thing is this, I'll go back to my earlier statement. If he didn't want the exposure, he should have just paid her. And if he didn't have the papers to pay her in full, take the debt on and you pay that. Because I'm sure you could have afforded £100 a month in direct debit.
There you go.
That's probably what it was.
And like, let's not forget that, do you know what I mean? Like some of I'm not saying, we don't know Lani, we don't know her at all, but there's sometimes that a regular, normal, average girl will just be minding her business and this guy will insert himself in her life just to cause havoc. And then she's the one that's being told that she's crazy. That's no. Men need to stop doing that shit and take accountability for that.
How are we forgetting?
What is classy?
They were just dating. They're dating. He booked her. He used her name, her identity to buy a watch. How is that classy? So it was classy for a man who is an aspiring rapper to use this woman's credit and her name to get a watch, and then he stops dating her and she's left with the debt. I would say that's the definition of classless. They were matched. It was match on match. It's not for her to then whether that he's so broke that he had to use her identity and her credit to get something. Like, I don't get how it comes on Lani. It's him. Like, if you weren't broke, she wouldn't have been able to even talk about you.
I think that a lot of the time it's so easy to kind of just put the blame on the woman and just to dehumanize her and that she's an idiot. She doesn't know this or she doesn't know that. And she because she's not acting a certain way, she doesn't deserve sympathy. No, fuck all that. He done wrong. At the end of the day, he done wrong. Either which way you go about it, he took something that she didn't agree to. Do you know what I mean? And they should have sorted it out, but he refused to talk to her. He refused to have a conversation. So she had to go down, she felt she had to go down that path. Now another type of woman might go around your house and knock out your windows. Another woman might slash your tires. Another woman might get the goons to come and back it for you. Do you know what I mean? So the thing is, this is what I'm saying. You can't just be treating treating women anyhow. And that's the thing. A lot of men out there, not all of them, but there's a lot of guys out there that think that it's okay, and they use girls for sport. That's what they do. They use them to see what they can get out of them, whether it's sex, money, access, whatever kind of thing. That's what they do. So
the thing is as well, Tion needs to ask himself this. Let's say let's remove the sex element from it. Let's say that was your brethren. Or let's flip it and say that was a brethren, and they did that, and then you don't chat to that person no more. What do you expect to have your money back? When you expect them to pay it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you make noise about it? You hail out Heady One all the time. You lot got some beef going back from way back when and all this stuff. You chat the chat all the time. You come for him all the time. You talk about, his rhymes ain't this and his rhymes ain't that. I mean, that's okay, because it's road, innit? Where's her body? You played with her body. You played with her heart. You played with her emotions. You played with her bank balance.
And sorry, what was
your ish? And I'm not saying she's not going mad. I'm not even saying that she's not going mad. But she's got a right. She's got a right to go mad, because he's making her feel like she's losing her mind.
I have to respond to JD. You don't know us, because I think we're quite fair women. If my brother, if Tion was my brother, I'd be like, why are you fucking with this mad chick? I might say, I might use language like, why are you fucking with this mad chick? But it's your fault, because you got into it. The buck stops at him. He twisted this girl's mind. Whether she's upset, whatever. Guys know when a woman is obsessed with them. They know when a woman is unstable and fragile. Like they know.
It's a manipulation. It's a manipulation. So it can't. Even if she is toxic, it's never good. If you know that she's toxic, then you're manipulating.
Leave her alone.
You know what I mean? Like seriously. So you should.
In the beginning,
listen. Advantage of someone.
In the beginning, wasn't that what she said? In the very beginning, when this all started, however many years ago, that's exactly what she said. She said that's what the relationship was like. It was toxic. That is exactly what she said. And the thing is, at first he was rocking it like they didn't even do nothing. That's how he was rocking it at first. But all of a sudden, lo and behold, they did actually do something. She just wasn't his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And back to not being his girlfriend. Back to not being his girlfriend.
Never, ever.
When did he decide that she was? Because I bet he was telling
That's
her
what I
all
was
the
just
lyrics.
going to say.
Yeah.
Back to not being his girlfriend. Did she know she wasn't your girlfriend?
Exactly.
Because if you're doing boyfriend and girlfriend things, we're not 12. People don't need to hear the words, can you be my girlfriend? Am I your... They don't. If you're doing boyfriend and girlfriend things, you're spending enough time, you're dating, you're in her yard, she's buying you watches or helping you buy watches, she's feeding you, she's catering to you. What do you think that she is, bruv?
He's so lucky that it's not the States, you know, because she would sue him for
everything.
Yeah. At this point,
ask your brothers why they're so dependent on women who are toxic to make them feel better about themselves. Right. That's another thing. We don't have that conversation. Why do men seek out fragile, insecure women and then feel like kings of their little castles?
Women who aren't fragile and insecure, like Auntie Shade said, women who are just getting along, minding their own business, doing okay, but you want to break them down, break them down.
Amen. That's a word. Preach it.
Stop it.
All right. So we go on to Cuppy.
All right, let's go for cups.
Okay.
Go on. So women are what? So pull up the Instagram page.
You can pull up the clip. The clip.
Okay. Oh, there's
basically she, as you said, she was on Cuppy was on 3 Shots of Tequila, which is a podcast, very popular podcast. And yeah.
All right, let's go. So I'm going to try and play it rather than share my screen. You know, that stresses me out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Conversation all the time. So coming to the UK, like Black women, I feel like I'm going to speak for them, even though I probably shouldn't, but there is too much pressure we put on Black men for money, I think.
Pin drop there.
I think, and they're going to be so angry at that. Honestly, like, a man is your partner. He's not your... provider.
No, but you know the difference is, I think it goes back to what Taylor said about you're faking it and whatever. Remember, you're speaking from someone who had.
Okay, we can't get into the conversation because we might as well have it. So so we put are Black women putting too much pressure on Black men for money?
I don't see this in any of my friends, my life. I really don't see it. I see it as the opposite. And it was funny that she's saying that, and then this thing came up on the Shade Borough about like you giving 20% of what you earn should go to like your dating and your girlfriend. I was like, is this a thing? Like, maybe this is really new, and this is like this new, 20 to 25-year-olds are in this space where this is what they expect. Because to me, it feels like this is very American. Like Joe Budden podcast, they talk about this all the time, giving their girls money, like cash apping them, sending them money all the time for various different things. And when I listen to them, I am like, but what rock was I living under? I would never expect this. Like, even from my husband, I wouldn't. I'd be asking if I need it, but it wouldn't be something that I would expect that on a weekly basis he sends me money. Not from any boyfriend ever. I've never expected this. So I don't know if this is new, but I don't think so. And Cuppy's from an absolutely different wealth scale to most people. So maybe for wealthy women, yeah, they expect it because their men are the same or have more wealth. But I don't think this is the average Black woman that is expecting their man to pay for things. More than anything, I probably see more men moving in to women's houses is the reality for me. But that's just my worldview, is more men kind of coming in that way than the other way around.
Auntie Sade.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting because I just thought it just demonstrated like how out of touch she is with like the average Black UK woman's reality. Do you know what I mean? I think like, yeah, it's like you can get like a viral thing shared on social media and stuff, but the reality is it's just not the case, you know? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know any any man that's, if we're talking about that tweet as well, like given 20% of their wages. Are you like, sorry? Don't get me wrong. If you want to give me 20% of your wages, I am definitely accepting that 100% with open hands, both hands open. I will take it all. But yeah, I just think I think to put too much pressure on, no, not really. I don't think it's that. I think there's maybe she's confusing it with like, I don't know, ambition, like having like wanting people who are ambitious or something like that. Do you know what I mean? But too much pressure for money, that I just thought it's ridiculous. And it's just like from her perspective, like she's she's not from here, she's from Nigeria, comes from a very wealthy family, she's at Oxford, she has like a whole career and everything like that. She can fund her whole lifestyle herself, but there's other people that can't. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the majority of people can't live that kind of life. So I just think like it's just really, really out of touch and actually quite a full statement of Black UK women, I think.
Yeah, I think there's so much levels to this. I think what becomes the poster and the meme and the headline, isn't reality. And yes, there's a group of people that operate in that space where everything that goes on in culture is what they try and aspire to in life. And then you'll have the little bits on, the younger people. You have the very young people who are coming up, the teenagers who are like, oh, this is what my celebrity is doing, and this is what Cardi's saying, Meg's saying, Future's saying, and they emulate these cultural icons' lifestyles without it really making sense. So they'll be like, yeah, man's got to make this money, or girl's got to have this, and man's got to have this. And that's the surface level conversation. But the people in between who have common sense, who have lived life, who don't follow every piece of social media or cultural pointers as dictators for how life should go. We're not living like that. We're really not living like that. But culture affects us and how we behave, for sure. We can't avoid it. There are new kind of pointers of like what a man should do. But lest we forget that men have also done this dick swinging thing. And as you said, in America, what we're looking at and are getting influenced by is the whole thing is like, I'm going to give you a stack. This kind of ownership of women, or treating women like chattel, or pieces of prize gifts, prize things, commodities that they have to own and control as a form of control. I'll give you this amount of money to go shopping with because this makes me look good as a man. So it's men generally, not to blame men, because definitely there are women who've swallowed this whole ideal and say, yes, my man's got to have this, that, and the other. But to be fair, men, you also dictated this thing that a man's got to have these signifiers to show that you're wealthy, and a bad bee on your arm that you pay for, make sure it looks good, from her weave to her clothes to her nails did, all that type of stuff. You lot are rapping and talking about it and promoting that as well. So it's like, it's chicken and egg. Whose fault is it? Who started that conversation first? I think, yes, there's an element, maybe there's an element of what are you bringing to the table? As we've talked about many times, as women have become forced to become more independent because of life, What do you bring to the table as a man? So if I can do everything, and I'm not saying it to be rude, I'm not an independent woman, I'm not saying all of that. But however, society has made it so I run my own business, I pay my own bills, I am okay in that space. So what are you bringing to the table? So if you feel pressure to top me, I'm not telling you to top me. I'm telling you to meet me halfway. But if you feel that as a successful Black woman, you have to top me, and that means I'm giving you pressure, so you'll either walk away with me or treat me like shit, as we're talking about Lani and Tion, manipulate me to feel bad about myself because you don't feel good about yourself. That's a different conversation to be having than blaming us for putting pressure on you. Men put pressure on themselves, I think. And also the conversation that there's a lot of miscommunication between men and women. And because I'm a Black woman that dates Black men, there's lots of miscommunication between Black men and Black women about what it is we want from each other. What really, truly do we want from each other? But as Auntie Sade said, real talk in the real world, not sitting there. I'm not, and my people ain't sitting there saying, well, boy, you've got to have put down whatever percentage of your wages before I even chat to you. No, man, I'd actually prefer your personality is decent. You're fucking are not lying to me. You're not trying to fuck every woman and tell me that I'm the number one, and then you've got side chicks and all that type of shit. That your credit is not, that you're telling me to take out a Rolex on layaway. Come on now. There's so many other things that are more important to me than you being super rich and all that. I please, universe, you're rich. Come with it. I'm okay. I'm not turning you away. But there's so much other things on the list than just pressuring a man for money. But I would like to hear from the comments of the guys, and JD, you've gone quiet. I'm sure you got something to say. But Auntie Farah, go ahead.
Auntie Farah, I actually didn't hear you. Like I was going through dramas off screen, so I don't even know what we're talking about. Sorry.
We're talking about the thing where Copy saying that Black women put pressure on Black men to be rich.
I mean, she's rich though, isn't it? But anyway, that's an aside. That's an aside. I don't put pressure on no man to be rich, but equally, I don't want you to be living off of me. What I want is a partner. That's it. I'm not even one of these chicks that insist on you must buy everything for me. You don't need to. You don't need to. I'm not that person, but you need to be. It should be a partnership. That's what I think. I don't know, man. I just feel like there's a lot of stereotypes about women out there, and that's why a lot of men assume that all women are on them for the money, and it's not like that.
I love, you know what, when these things come out, and I'm assuming that the guys in, because one of the guys reacted and saying pin drop, because people, like, when these things are out there, oh God, what was the conversation? I wish I could remember it. And I was saying, whatever the response was, I was saying to people, actually ask men, how many women are actually doing this? You're saying, yeah, it's true, but let's talk about your life, your individual life. How many women have said to you as a man, I'm not dating you because you're not dripping in stuff, in sauce and stuff. And actually break that down. What are you actually not doing? Is the woman saying, I'm not dating you because you're not making six figures? Or is she saying, I'm not dating you because you don't have a job, or you don't have ambition, or I can't see your motivation in life because I see you're maybe not living to your best potential? What is that? And also, yes, women, there are some women that have unrealistic expectations. So yes, we can talk to women, and maybe that's what we need to do, talk to women that have unrealistic expectations. But I really want men that say, yeah, it's true. How true is it in your particular life that you've had? And how many women, of all the women that you lot get access to, have actually, you've had to say, yeah, I got dumped, because I wasn't making six figures. Yeah, I got dumped, Man, don't even talk like that. Let's talk the real talk.
But isn't it that I think if I became single and was out dating, I would definitely have stipulations on money, knowing more. Like I don't think it's unreasonable in this day and age for a woman, for what you give up to be in a relationship as well, to have certain standards about what your partner earns and what you expect from your home life. Because I think men have that given into what type of woman they want. But I think a lot of women don't actually sit down and think about, what type of man do I want? It's always, it comes the other way. It's they come and talk to you, and it's kind of like, oh, I kind of fancy that. But you haven't made a concerted effort as to what type of man do I want? What life do I want to achieve from this relationship?
But I think that's why I said partnership. That's why you're right.
Even a partnership, though. Sometimes I think they may be the provider. If we really like,
yeah, but there's different ways of looking at a partnership, though, aren't there? They're not always. It's not always financial. But I'm just talking about for me, Farah, my partnership. I don't want someone to be living off of me. You know, I want us to be able to achieve certain things because I'm struggling out here on my own. Do you know what I mean? So I want someone to come into it so that we can achieve things together.
But it wouldn't be a bad thing to say I want them to be solid in their own finances and we merge together. And that may be, I need your finances to actually be 100K. And I don't think it's wrong for women to have that mindset of, this is the person that I want them to be, and you go looking for that, and somebody that falls short of that, she's just like, oh, you know what, no, you're not the right person for me. It's actually okay for women to have standards, but I think too many men are like, oh, that she knows what she wants is a problem. And it's like, you've had it easy for a while, shit's changing now.
I think, just to respond to Dr. Ronald, who says it's not an American thing, don't say that Joe Biden speaks for American men. Unfortunately, in the UK, and I think globally, American culture dictates a lot of culture, or even if it's not the overarching, tends to be the leading signifier for how we then trickle down and remix it into how we live. So, and especially for Black Brits, even though now Black British culture's starting to become more global and more visible, a lot of the time, especially our generation growing up, we looked to American culture a lot. Black American culture that informed how then we remixed it and took it for ourselves. So it's not necessarily an American thing. However, the most prominent visual cultural icons in the Black community are from America. And when our culture has a kind of stereotypical preference to bling, drip, looking good, and all those type of materialistic signifiers as wealth, that's not American men. However, as I said already, culture, the social culture is the meme, the headline, the fast dictator of what we do culturally and socially. Doesn't mean say it trickles down into real life. And I think Auntie Sade said, we've all said the real world of us real people, Black men and Black women, who are just on the average, not in the public eye. We're not necessarily living like that. I'm not saying that.
You know what? It's just come to me, but we witnessed it firsthand at Essence and at Afropunk, a very set way of the man paying for shopping. That is not British. It's not a British thing. And it was actually shocking. It was even weird when you would sit with lesbian couples and the one that was more masculine facing, literally standing there. The girl would be like, oh my God, I want a belt, I want a head wrap. And then they're there with, how much is that, please, ma'am? And they pay. And at the end of the day, we was like, how strange is it? May just be our worldview, and there is a whole load of women that are living this life. But it was very different to see it in action, that shopping was done in a different way. And it's like, this isn't something that I see too much in British high street.
It's
like,
not a UK thing
in the same way.
Initially, it wasn't a UK thing. Men paying for getting our weaves, nails, and hair. It's not something that is commonplace to British men dating. And maybe now, because of the influence, and it is influence from, I stand by it, influence from American culture, Black American culture in that way. That's what's maybe trickling down. So unfortunately, that is, if you find offense in that, but that's literally what we're seeing. Is that it? Sorry, I went deadly quiet. Moving on, is there anything else off the culture list that we can go into? Jessie Nelson.
It was just Jessie being messy.
What's she doing? Lucian's cute though.
He is, but it's like, you know, she's painted this whole thing of like, I'm a victim and Jan's bullied me, but then you're kissing her ex. It's just like,
I mean, is that fair? Because she just met him and be like, okay. I mean, you know, the celebrity world.
But if you're good friends, or you previously good friends, are you going to be kissing or actively pursuing your ex-friend's ex?
Like, you can't ever do that and it's okay though. Like, really, I think you can't do, like, you can't do what she's doing and it's okay.
Yeah, it's not. What about Lucian? What's he up to?
We'll see. Maybe he's trying to get, I don't know what he's doing. I was actually thinking that. Are you
trying to get his dick wet?
Like, what's going on?
He's trying to get his dick wet. Let's be real.
Right.
All right then, guys, let's move. Oh, Uncle Dane left before we could do what's made him sad, mad, and glad. What's made you sad, mad, and glad this week? I'm first. Sad, yes.
Sorry.
Sad that of the new. Actually, no. First of all, I'm sad that I've been ill for 2 weeks. I think it's finally going today. It's finally shaking. I think quite sad that I've been ill for 2 weeks. It's been very annoying. And also sad about the passing of Virgil Abloh. And I'm sad because those who listen to this show know I've cussed him quite often for some of his antics in fashion. But it was always jovial banter. And I always thought that I'd meet him in Ghana on one of those trips. And I'd be like, guys, I take it all back. I met Virgil. He's wonderful. He gifted me loads of Louis Vuitton. I'm now a changed woman and he's my best friend. Or I found out he's my cousin or something. I always thought I'd get the chance to meet him and have bants with him and then change my tune and be a hypocrite afterwards. So it's very sad to hear of his passing. I'm mad. Oh shit, I had a mad. What was my mad? Can't remember my mad. I'll come back to that. And then I'm also glad that today I had my first venture out after being sick, and I was almost going to cancel because I felt bad, but then I didn't want to cancel and be unprofessional. Hosted a lunch with Amel Amin, Vamp PR and Warner Brothers for Amel Amin's film Boxing Day, which comes out December the 3rd. Had a nice intimate lunch at the Haymarket Hotel today with some influencers just to talk about Amel's journey in making the film. And Boxing Day is a really good, feel-good, lovely Christmas British black rom-com, which we don't have barely any, if any. It's a really good film. It's really good. He's done really well. It's his debut directorial feature. He's done lots of shorts, but the fact that he's done this, and it's actually a good film. So I'm not, sometimes you get forced to, hey, it's a good film, go support it. I actually am very proud to support this film, and I'm very proud of what Amel's achieved. So yeah, go see it. It's on December the 3rd. So I was glad to have hosted that, and that I was able to break out of my illness and do something nice. Auntie Farah.
I'm sad at Virgil Abloh because much like you, Auntie AK, I can't say that I was a massive fan of his fashion, but I was a fan of him and what he had achieved and, his success in that realm. And it's just very sad. Again, cancer fucking really does suck. I am mad at Auntie AK. That's right. I'm mad at you because you're going on holiday, and I'm mad at Auntie Sade because she's going too, and I'm mad at Auntie Toju because she's going. Yes, she might not be going to the same place, but I'm also mad at her, and I'm mad at everybody who's going on holiday. And don't chat to me. I am gonna unfriend you on all social media platforms until you get back, because I don't want to see anything.
But I'm going later.
I don't give a flying. I don't care. The point is you're going. I don't give a flying because I'm not flying anywhere. So yes, I'm mad at you all for leaving me alone in this stinking cold hole that is Britain. That's what I'm mad at. And I am glad that Barbados said to the Queen, I'm going to try my Bajan accent. Please excuse me, Bajans, because I'm Grenadian. I don't know how to do this, but here we go. I'm glad that Barbados said to the Queen, get lost. And then she said to them, cheese and bread. Y'all gonna be kidding.
Let's move on swiftly. Auntie Nana, apologies.
I so thought it was going to be better. That actually surprised me.
If it was Grenadian, I'd have that down pat. If I did that in Grenadian, I'd be like, the Queen said, hey, what going on there? Are you mad? Are you stupid? What the hell? You see? Perfect. Can't do Bajan. Cheese and bread. What's going on there? Can't do it.
Auntie Nana, what's made you sad?
Okay. So my first sad it was Simone's birthday on the 25th of November.
Yes.
And I woke up on that Thursday just really thinking about her. So I gave my thanks to her, burnt some money, just kind of put in, whenever I think of her, I'll burn her some money. Wherever you are, I want you to be abundant. So I'll burn some stuff. And then I clicked onto Facebook and saw it was her birthday. And I was like, look at that. So then again, I went and burnt a few more bits of money for her, just happy birthday and have a good time. But it also made me a little bit sad because I do miss her. Yeah. And then my second sad as well. No, I'll leave that second sad. So my mad is also similar to Auntie AK. I'm not feeling too well. And I've been really good at not having any colds or anything, but this one has just really annoyed me because there was a few places over the weekend where I needed to be. I managed to go out on Friday, but that probably tipped me over the edge. So I was just in bed. But yeah, I hate being sick. So I'd be mad at that. And I shall be better soon. And then I'm glad for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Yeah, it's been good this year as well. And I didn't do as much marketing as I usually do but it's still been quite a good run for the last few days. So I'm very happy with business so far. We'll have a good Christmas. And a big up to my husband, who has won his first award for a short film that he wrote and produced called Coffee. And that one, I wish I could remember what the award is called, but you can actually see the film as well. So I'll put it in the comments. I'll put a link to the film so you can watch it.
Was it a UEA, Urban Entertainment Award?
No, it was a something. I think it was like African ATT. Something like that.
Well
but I will put the link to the film in there.
Amazing, man.
Auntie Sade, what's made you so mad and glad?
So Virgil, he was like a massive inspiration to my brother. So like that was like, oh mate, it's a bit tight and stuff. And then also the North Korean man that was sentenced to death for smuggling in Squid Game, that made me sad as well.
Yes,
like,
yes.
What?
I can't believe that we
that made me
still
mad. That was one of my mads, actually.
live in that kind of like in a world where those things can happen. Mad because masks are coming back as of today, and I'm so over it. I hate wearing a face mask. I know. It protects you. Da, 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 da.
It's fine.
But I'm with you. I hate it too.
I hate it so much. So yeah,
it's a necessary evil, but I do hate it.
Yeah, I'm very mad about that. And then I'm glad because Everyday Friday had a great Black Friday, and we're also stocked in the Jammy Christmas pop-up, which is on 188 Shoreditch High Street until the 19th of December. So I'm very happy about that.
Oh, can I just say that I'm mad at my daughter for coming in and winking at me? It was very annoying. She went like that. That's so cheeky. Well done, guys. And what's next? Oh, well, Uncle Dane was supposed to do his unpopular opinion hit list and whatever. Does anyone have anything on the hit list? Don't piss me off. I just wanted to, just as a random, I heard, is it true? Because someone verified the fact that if Diggity did stab someone in Dubai.
No.
Right. Okay, cool. Thank you. That's on my hit list.
He was questioned though.
Yeah.
He was questioned, but no, he I think he's back here now.
Well done, thank you, because I do want Diggity to live life, and I didn't like that news. And so fake news on the hit list. Allow it, guys. Allow it.
I have a recommendation.
Go ahead.
I this may be out there already, but I've just finished watching Dope Sick on Disney Plus.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't started that yet.
It's frustrating, but it's really good to know, like, the family responsible for all of the opioid addictions and an insight into their strategy to bring it over here. Because one of the pills, literally, my mum is on and has been on for like over 10 years. So seeing how they kind of took over America and had a strategy for Europe and the rest of the world, although none of them have gone to prison and they are declaring bankruptcy but still wealthy. How that happens, I don't know. You know, it's just an insight into, you know, the establishment and how it works again. So it's a good watch. It's a really good watch. Dope Sick.
Cool.
Is it depressing? Or
sounds
like no, it's more insightful. Just to be aware of how marketing can be manipulated and then you don't see it coming. It's actually like, I was like, oh, I've actually seen other drugs marketed in the same ways. So it was like, that's really interesting that this is a strategy that they go for, especially the pill. I remember when I was in university and there was 2 strands of pills that were really directed at young people. And it's like, oh my God, that's such a marketing strategy. But it gives you an insight into that.
Okay. And on that note, watch Dope Sick. What's it on?
Disney.
Yeah. Disney. No, it's on Disney Plus. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know. Sorry.
Disney. I haven't seen it. Okay.
Have we got any last comments?
I swear I did see Ronald had glad. Okay, yeah. So Ronald said, I'm glad that I had a really nice Thanksgiving dinner with friends. And what does burning money mean? Oh, sorry. Burning money is like a way to kind of honor the ancestors. So you get ancestral money and then you burn it and you say affirmations to your ancestors as you're doing it.
And that's that on that.
Yeah, that was
Thank you guys.
Glad that.
Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 87 of Aunties Could Never. Thank you also to our wonderful guest, Dane Baptiste. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on all the social media platforms. And don't forget, you can watch this episode back on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can listen to our episode on all listening platforms. And you can literally just immerse yourself in Auntie's gloriousness everywhere, visually, audio, probably do a play one day as well.
Oh, shut up. I don't want to speak to you anymore.
We should. That would actually be fun. A fun play.
She hasn't left yet.
I mean,
It's for like 2 days.
2 more days.
I told her yesterday, this is the vibe that she's getting from me.
I mean,
and it'll be coming to you as well, Auntie Sade. So just appreciate that.
Wow. No, please. No hostility. The world is cold enough, Farah, please.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're going to somewhere
I'm
hot.
looking
So
forward to it. Post pictures, please. Lots of pictures.
Yeah,
I want to
no,
see.
that's nice for you. I told you.
I'm
deleting
connected.
I like when you're supposed to sign off and then you'll get interrupted by the sign off.
Deleting them.
And I don't know what's happening. So, like, I feel really upset. I'm just going to write this into the musical. This will be the melancholy part of the musical.
This is the bit where I push you off a cliff.
This is not Tom and Louise.
We should sign off. We're almost at 3 hours. Wow.
I mean,
yeah, I got to go.
Oh, now you got to go. Oh, no, chick. No.
I can end myself.
This is the part where Auntie Farah's written out of the play.
That's okay. You write me out anyway because you're going on holiday.
The reoccurring series ends with Auntie Farah. Dun, dun, dun. That's it, guys. Thanks, guys. Tune in next week, guys. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye now.
Later. Bye.
Bye.
Party done.
Oh.
What else?
Sorry, I literally almost ended without playing our end credits. 1 second. All right, guys, we are leaving now.